I think it's there we go. It's finally gone live. Yeah. There's a good 30 seconds of conversation before that you are live thing popped up. That's unusual, but
I didn't say anything racist, did I?
I mean, you usually do. So probably.
I didn't make fun of retards or anything, did I?
No, okay. See, now I actually do have to edit that out. I'm not.
No, I want you to cut out this bumper, so I had to. I'll just say bad things when I don't want you to keep it.
Yeah, all you have to do is say just like something horrible, and I'm like, well, shit.
Might as well just cut that whole chunk out.
Yeah, we could do it. It's been a while since we've recorded one of these. I still don't like. As we're recording this, the timeline leading up to the election had me drained, and then the timeline after the election has had me drained. So I've sort of fallen behind on my duties of getting these shows out getting my regular show out, and even doing the video game show that I do from time to time. So it's like I've just exhausted, but I'm getting back in the groove of things. I finally, this is just gonna let you know how far behind I am. I finally got the Heaven's Gate episode out.
I saw that. I looked. I was like, well, I don't even know what the last one we did. So I looked and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot we did that.
and I've got the Heat episode ready to sort of go because that's what we did. We did Heaven's Gate, and then we said we needed a palate cleanser, so we went Heat.
We needed a good one.
So and then we did Batman Begins. After that.
Okay.
So there are 3 in the hopper, and recording this one. It's nice to be ahead. That way, theoretically, when I get in this mode again of creative drain, I can just do stuff that we already did and just have it go. I think I might be able to salvage the lost episode that we did too. I forget which one it was now, but the fog. I think I might be able to salvage that one. I think I've got the hard drive kind of on the verge of doing some stuff, just some more TLC, and I might be able to salvage that episode, which would be fun.
I think if we re-recorded it, it'd probably go exactly the same. Just like I probably said the same stuff.
Probably. I have to go back and re-record an early episode of Disney Compendium at some point because my co-host. This is back when I was taking it super, super seriously, and I was doing it weekly, and I realized how exhausting that is. So we stopped doing it. So when we did the Peter Pan episode, he wasn't available, so I just went for it still and did it solo. And it's a bad episode, but I'm gonna make him go back, and I'm going to insert that episode into the Peter Pan episode and fix it.
I don't know if you remember on Frasier when they it's the 100th episode of Frasier, but it's his 1000th episode, and it plays his very first episode, and he's just like terrible, and he's like, "Good afternoon, Seattle," and he just like doesn't know how to talk on the radio. And he's all like nervous and like kind of singing when he talks. Oh God. I just imagine you doing that, just being Frasier nervous.
Yeah, no, I hate the process of getting ready to do these, but once the red light's on, I'm able to go into DJ mode relatively quickly, and just sort of ignore the world around me while I'm doing it. But like, it's like getting on a plane. I'm anxious all the way up to it, but once I'm on the plane, it's like, well, Jesus, take the wheel. I can't do fucking anything else anymore. Let's go.
Since I've switched over to GarageBand, I haven't recorded one song because I don't know how to use it, and I've been kind of pecking at it. I've recorded a bunch of stuff. I haven't finished anything just because I don't know, and I'm like, I'm not in the mood to dink around with computers because I hate computers anyway, and to do something like that. And every time I try, I'm like, oh God, this has way more options than I'm used to, which is good, but it's just overwhelming. So I did actually finish. I have like 3 ready for you. That weren't GarageBand.
I do want to get from you sometime a spooky song if you ever get an opportunity.
Okay.
Me and a friend are doing a cryptid show, and I was like, oh man, a spooky song would be kind of cool.
How long you want it?
I mean, your typical length, and we can kind of use what we need.
Okay.
Yeah.
How scary are we talking there?
I mean, spooky, man. We're talking about scary monsters in the woods, you know? These are...
Monsters in the woods, okay. I'm taking notes.
We did a first episode that was the Mothman, and we're probably going to do a couple of other, just those creepy fake monsters that are, folklore and stuff,
Okay.
Sasquatches and things like that. So.
Got it. That'll motivate me to finish it, because when you wanted me to do the Disney one, I did that, the next morning.
I like that song. I like that song, too. I did an episode...
in my
with
head
it.
going to sleep a couple nights ago.
Yeah, I know. It was the thing. I did an episode with it a couple of months ago, and like I heard it, and like for a couple, like 3 days later, I started like humming it in my head. I'm like, damn, that's actually kind of a catchy ass song. So,
Well, just like anything I do, it's. I mean, I can think of stuff and go, okay, I want something like this, and come up with something, but that's pretty rare, especially for these instrumental ones. Like, I literally just sat down at the piano. Like, my wife went to work, I hadn't eaten or anything. I just sat down, I started playing it, and just the first thing. It's always the first thing I play. And I played it on the piano, and I was like, well, I think that's exactly what he wanted. Like, it's all I can think of to do. So then I recorded it, and then that was like 4:00 in the morning. Then I ended up eating at like 9 because I recorded it and did the whole thing.
It really matched the sort of modern ragtime aesthetic I was thinking of in my head. So
I think I have 3 harmonicas going at once. Yeah. I don't know if that's ever been done before. Usually one is more than enough.
Yeah. What was 2 is like some sort of like a fight is going on somewhere because there's like 2 dueling players, but 3 is just a cacophony.
I would use the harmonica more in my stuff, but my cat really doesn't like it, and if I do it, she will meow, crawl up on me, and if I don't stop, she'll bite my face. And if I lock her out, she'll just scratch on the door. So I usually have to wait till my cat's outside and go, okay, honey's out. All right, I can use the harmonica. So it's something I can't really do very often because of my goddamn cat. Even there's one Dylan one where he's horrendous on the harmonica. It's really loud. If he's not singing, he's blowing on it, and it's pretty obnoxious. Like, I gotta be in the mood for it. And I was playing it, and she kept coming to me and like, what is this? What are you doing? What are you playing?
Why are you doing this to me?
John Wesley Harding, great album, but you really gotta tolerate that harmonica on it. Dylan makes you work for it.
Yeah. It's Christmas, so his Christmas album is starting to like pop up in places, and I'm just like, no, please. His Christmas album sucks.
That's my way to enjoy Christmas, because I'm pretty tired of all the the same 10 songs and all the same popular recordings. So whenever my wife's like, put on Christmas music, I put that on. Like,
what's a cool Christmas album that doesn't get in terms of score. The Home Alone score is actually really fucking good, and I don't think it gets any credit for like none of it's like the score itself. None of it's like Christmas music. Like, it's not like he adapted Christmas music. He made his own Christmas music, and it all sounds like it belongs from like a Russian ballet in the 1700s or something. Like, he's really good. He like nailed the sound. I know, he absolutely fucking nailed the sound. On top of that, like the actual like Christmas songs in it are all kind of all over the place and kind of crazy because there's a bunch of different. Because I have an album of like this like actual like pop and songs that are in the movies and stuff, and that's a really fun Christmas album to put on because it's kind of, with the exception of a couple of things, there's only a few things on there that ever get any sort of significant like airtime.
Oh yeah.
So
another good one is the Ventures and Booker T and the MGs Christmas ones, because they're instrumental, so you don't have to have people sing along to them or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's a good way to put it on, but it's a little bit different. It's a little rock and roll. Or the Beach Boy one, which always kills.
Yeah.
I do love that one. Especially because they actually wrote original songs for that, which everyone's like, I'm just going to phone this one in. I want to put this on the shelves for shopping season. Just going to shit this one out there. You ready to talk about whatever the hell we came here for?
What did we come here for? I know what we came
The Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight. The Night of Darkness. I was going to try to, like, speaking of Christmas, Batman, and I don't know. It's like, I know this doesn't fit in any way.
Thanksgiving, they reference Thanksgiving once in it.
So reference Thanksgiving once in The Dark Knight.
He's like, we'll be like turkeys on Thanksgiving down here, or whatever, the annoying guy from Insomnia.
Yeah.
And that one Friends episode. But Insomnia, because that was a Nolan movie.
Yeah.
So
Nolan, Nolan likes to keep giving people jobs, so
he really, especially after this point, like, well, I mean, fuck it, like the cast from Batman Begins is the Prestige. It's like everyone's in that. And like he must have got along with Christian Bale to do 3 movies in a row with that guy.
Yeah, I'm surprised that he didn't figure out a way to get Hugh Jackman into something. Like,
like
I don't know if it's, I don't know. I mean, I can understand that getting him into a Batman movie.
Yeah.
Because like Hugh Jackman was very like serious about it, about the Wolverine thing. So
Yeah.
and really trying to get stuff made like as a producer, and I'm sure he didn't want to hurt any of that because he saw what happened to Marsden when he agreed to do Superman, and they fucking killed him. Yeah.
Blew him up or whatever they did.
Yeah.
Disintegrated.
Yeah. Yeah, had his wife absolutely erase him from existence.
I think the funniest thing about The Dark Knight was, obviously I was into Begins before it came out because it was like, oh, cool, new Batman, and then I was way into it after that because not only was Begins good, but then I rediscovered my love for Batman and read, all the comics I could get my hands on. So I was super into The Dark Knight and really waiting for it, especially because Begins was so good and so fresh and new. And you're like, what are they going to do now? And it's like, oh, cool, it's the Joker. Okay, how are they going to take this now? Because Begins was like a story that hadn't really been touched on before. So you're like, how are they going to do like actual Batman? And then it was funny because then the movie was getting a shitload of hype, and you're like, where'd all these other people come from? Like people were so excited for it, and it was funny. I was like, I mean, I know I am excited for it, but you guys just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, 2008. 2008's this crazy thing because it is the start of the return of comic books in general.
Yeah,
because you have this, and you have 2 Marvel movies come out. You have Iron Man, you have Hulk.
Yeah,
I feel like there might be a couple of Fox ones in there or something. I can't remember exactly.
Maybe an X-Men or two.
An X-Men, or maybe a Fantastic Four or something. But I'll look at it later. But like this is the sort of where comic books become mainstream again.
Yeah.
Spider-Man movies did great.
Oh yeah.
But they Spider-Man is the Mount Rushmore of superheroes prior to this.
Yeah.
Prior to what would become now, like if you're today, the Mount Rushmore of superheroes will look completely different than the 2008 Mount Rushmore of superheroes.
Oh yeah.
Because like if you had to choose 4, it would be Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, and the 4th one would be up for grabs. I mean, depending on decade. In the 90s, it probably would have been Wolverine. In the 60s, you would have had probably like the Hulk because of certain characters and stuff. That 4th one's always up in the air, but things have kind of changed. Like in modern days, I don't like, I don't think. I mean, it would be Iron Man on that Mount Rushmore is that 4th spot. Even Captain America. Captain America's sort of come back into his own. Thing. Totally, used to be one of the biggest, back in the 40s and 50s and stuff, 40s in particular, Superman, Batman, Captain America were it. Like, I mean, but there weren't, and Captain Marvel, Shazam, what we know as
the real Captain Marvel.
The real Captain Marvel.
I love that they just fucking took that name. Like, they didn't even try. That it's like, everyone knows him by Shazam, so we're just gonna fucking steal that name.
Yeah. I mean, but it's always those 2 companies have been having those exact same fights for decades. There's plenty of characters that share similar names that they've been like, this, that, the other,
Yeah.
So it's not going to be the first time. It won't be the last time. Well, probably. Yeah. I mean, it depends on how it works now. But
with copyrights now they can.
It's a little easier now.
Yeah.
So 2008 really just sort of launched it all off because Iron Man was a big hit too.
Yeah.
No level of Dark Knight, but
Dark Knight was number 2 behind Titanic overall.
Overall.
It really it was like the first movie to get like really close to it.
It's I mean for the Marvel stuff, it's a slow march because Iron Man's a big hit, the Hulk not as big of a hit, Iron Man 2 huge hit, and then it just kind of keeps pacing forward until you get to Endgame, which is like, one of the biggest movies of all time.
Yeah.
So it's crazy to see this sort of progress. Whereas with the DC stuff, like this movie was huge, but the DC stuff kind of never hits these levels again. Wonder Woman gets close.
Oh, Wonder Woman was really big.
Wonder Woman got huge. But it came out at a time where Marvel has been dominating the sort of box office stuff.
Yeah.
So it kind of gets looked past that Wonder Woman was as big as it was. Even
Yeah.
Aquaman was pretty big.
Yeah, that was surprisingly big. Especially for being like having his own first movie and stuff and not being
it's sort of like
movie character.
Yeah, like Aquaman is sort of historically not established, and he's been in one movie prior to that. And was always sort of a joke character for a lot of people because of how silly the concept of Aquaman is.
Yeah.
And this Aquaman is a different. It's like, it's not like it's based off of like, because before that, like people would think of like the Hall of Justice cartoon era, Superman and his friends kind of thing.
I just thought marine biologist man.
Yeah.
Environmental safety man.
Yeah. But so yeah, it's funny to see like DC never really hits its peak after this.
Yeah.
Even Dark Knight. I always want to say Dark Knight Returns. It's Dark Knight Rises. Is a big movie, but doesn't hit the levels of this by a long shot. Yeah. And by the time Rises comes out, the Marvel March is starting.
Yeah.
So it's and the X-Men have sort of reclaimed a lot of their stuff because like First Class and the Wolverine stuff was starting to become its thing too.
I hate to say it, but I think the reason this movie was so big was because Heath Ledger died. I mean, we've seen that many times when the guy dies before the movie comes out. It's always a giant hit.
It's always
and
and it helps.
Part of that.
This is something that will make a lot of people mad when you talk about this, but it's the God's honest truth. Batman, especially in modern day, Batman is only successful because of the Joker now. He's intrinsically tied to it. The Joker stuff will always be better. Will always, all of the effort will be put into it. All of the fan base is more drawn to it. In the comics, books, cartoons, whatever it is, the Joker drives the franchise. Batman's popular. Batman's huge. People love Batman, but it's the Joker that is the driving force behind the franchise. And that helps get, in the case of this movie, you have the Joker, which is the character for Batman. Like depending on the year you're in, the Joker could be more popular than the Batman himself.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, he usually is.
It's kind of like 89 Batman, where it's kind of his movie.
It's like, it's exactly it. And you have that. You have the Joker element, which is huge, and people are very interested in it to begin with.
And no one's touched it since 89.
Yeah, so nobody's touched it in live action since 89.
And it's a fresh take on it too.
And this is 2008, so this is almost 20 years later. By the time this comes out, so it's been 20 years, and it's a different type of Joker. It's a much more Frank Miller style Joker.
Yeah.
It's even though Frank Miller's not particularly known for his Joker, because like the Dark Knight Rises Joker is its own
weird
kind of thing.
I don't know what his deal is in that one, but
but it's that 80, but it's a very much like 80s comic book style.
Yeah,
Joker.
it's a realistic, gritty kind of taking it back to reality.
Yeah.
No chemicals
so
this
you
time.
Have that. Yeah, no chemicals. Just a crazy guy with makeup.
Yeah. Which no one had ever done before. That was a great idea.
Because even in the comics, no matter what, there's no stripping away the Joker. Like, we know more about the Joker in the comics now more than previously.
Back then all he had was the Killing Joke,
the Killing Joke, and that was the only one, and it was at the time was non-canonical, but as years went by, DC has sort of adapted it more and more in the canon. So it is now sort of like in the canon that the Joker shot and paralyzed Barbara Gordon. It's canon that he did these things. So we just finished a couple months ago the Three Jokers storyline for Batman that they've been teasing for years at this point, where they show you the different Jokers. Like the Joker has always been three people apparently, and and this is a spoiler for it, but you find out at the end, like the one Joker that survives seems to be the main Joker, like the Joker that we're more familiar with at this whole thing, because the other two Jokers die. The one Joker kills the what would be the Golden Age Joker, the old school, like 40s, like, Detective Comics Joker.
Yeah.
And the Nightwing killed in like the first issue. like what would be the more modern Joker. And you find out at this point that Batman has known who the Joker is pretty much since their first meeting.
Yeah.
And the reason why he keeps it a secret, because remember in The Killing Joke where his fiance gets killed and the police have to make the story?
Pregnant.
Yeah, she's pregnant, gets killed.
Yeah.
You find out that the police helped her get away. So she doesn't get killed. She survived, and she raises the child with name change and everything. And so Batman is trying to stop him from getting back to her. Kind of thing. It's this whole silly thing. So that's the Joker. But that's a non-canonical story. But it's set up in a way to make it canonical, because DC will do that if the story is deemed a success in the end. Just like The Killing Joke. The story was deemed a success, so they canonized this sort of Elseworlds story in the end.
Good.
You know, that doesn't happen with everything, but
yeah.
But even when you have this stuff, the Joker's storyline is still guy gets turned into a crazy guy because of chemicals. So and
yeah, not doing that one here.
Yeah.
I remember you told me that Heath Ledger died. I don't think we were texting. No, probably not then. We must have been talking on the phone. And I remember
talking on the phone, or we were definitely we were emailing, because I was not that long ago, I typed in your email into my Gmail, and I went back and see like old emails that we sent between one another.
Yeah.
And we were emailing a lot about like all of the crazy promotional stuff they're doing for this movie at the time. Whenever they're weird, like they would like drag people out in the middle of the night to like weird theaters to play like a Joker-fied trailer of this movie and stuff. And,
I actually have one of the newspapers for it, because my sister-in-law, who wasn't my sister-in-law at the time, she lived in Seattle, and there was a paper boy handing them out, so she got one for me. And my cat accidentally spilled fake blood all over it, which is kind of appropriate. I looked it up. I'm like, man, maybe these are expensive. No, it was like $20 or something.
No. Yeah.
That was nothing. I was just wondering. I mean, most stuff isn't really worth anything, but I was wondering. Well, I do remember, I was picking my wife up from work, and I was in the parking lot. You told me that Heath Ledger died, and I was like, oh, God, please tell me they finished Batman. That was the first thought. And really, in Heath Ledger's life, that's all he meant to me. So
yeah, I don't think they even had. I don't even think they had to go back and do any like weird reshoots to get his stuff done or anything.
No,
I think it was done.
There was a rumor that some of the audio, and that they were going to like digitally do it, but who the fuck knows? No, they're all done. It was. I remember when you told me it was only a few months before the movie, so I knew it was done. But in my mind, I was like, "Oh God, please tell me it's done."
He died on January 22nd, and
the movie came out in May.
So yeah.
Yeah, so they were long done.
Well, no, it had its premiere in July.
Okay.
So,
yeah. They were really smart though with this movie to not make this Heath Ledger's tombstone. Like in the promotional stuff, they didn't talk about it. It's not like dedicated to Heath Ledger at the very end. Like right, it was the movie fades out or cuts to black rather. And so they're really smart, because even on like the special features on the DVD, they don't talk about anything about Heath Ledger.
They really only kind of did some of that stuff on the sort of viral marketing.
And like Nolan put out a statement and stuff, but they separated it from their movie and Heath Ledger.
Yeah, that was the thing. In the going into this movie it was like the first, because like viral marketing is sort of like the marketing ploy these days for something where you're trying to get buzz and stuff. But when they launched whysoserious.com, it changed a lot of stuff, because that's where it's like the first look of the Joker didn't come from a trailer or Entertainment Weekly or something. It was a website. It was a like a grainy photo on a website. Even the poster, the infamous poster, which looks like he's like standing behind a shower door that's steamed up. Why so serious with the smile and everything like that. That stuff came out on the internet first.
Yeah.
And you were starting to get like vandalized versions. Like there was the I Believe in Harvey Dent stuff.
Oh
where
yeah.
you'd go to like that website, and then like you would go there, and there would be like ransom notes, or like he would like be modifying, like vandalizing the website and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is funny because in the movie that stuff doesn't exist. Like that's not what the Joker isn't doing any of this kind of silly theatrical stuff like this.
That's true.
But
That's true, yeah.
but the viral marketing for the character makes him this like almost a prankster in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Which I mean, there are hints of that.
Yeah, it goes with it, even if he's not actually doing it.
Yeah.
I remember being kind of disappointed in the movie because the Joker looks scary as fuck. In the movie, he's like never scary. No. He looks scary, but he doesn't really do anything. The only thing that's scary is when he's recording the guy in the camcorder and he says, "Look at me," and his voice gets all freaky. But other than that, he's not really scary.
Other than that, he's mostly just the Joker. I mean, like, he doesn't despite it being sort of a different kind of Joker, he doesn't stray too far from the Joker at any given time.
No, like his whole plot is, trying to make a normal person turn bad, which is what he's trying to do in The Killing Joke. Like that's his whole thing in that story.
You just replace Gordon with Dent.
Yeah.
And it's very
the way
close
he goes about it.
It's very close to The Killing Joke in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Just doesn't involve. I mean, you replace Barbara Gordon with Rachel.
Yeah.
And it's basic. There's a lot of beats from The Killing Joke, and for good cause. I mean, like, The Killing Joke is The Killing Joke. I could go on for a significant amount of time as to how The Killing Joke and The Dark Knight Rises sort of ruined Batman in a lot of ways, because everyone wants to make their own version of The Killing Joke or Dark Knight Rises, or nobody tries to do Year One, which is good. I mean, despite them doing sequels.
Year Two.
Because there is a Year Two, and there's a Year Zero, and there's all kinds of weird shit like that. But like that story isn't weird, so it's okay. Year One is just sort of like it's
not unusual.
That's a crime drama. Like Killing Joke is and it's when Alan Moore talks about why he doesn't like The Killing Joke. He will go back and tell you, it's like, I think I made it like it's too dire. Like I made something too kind of like, that's not what comic book characters are. It's like, because to him comic book characters are 100% only for children.
But at the time he was gonna pull them all apart and put them back together in a weird way.
Yeah, he's going to deconstruct what a superhero was and everything. And like, when you ask him now, he thinks he went too far and made it too dark and grisly. And it's true, because everyone tries to replicate that going forward. Every Batman story, especially a Batman story involving the Joker going forward, tries to be that comic, tries to be grisly, tries to be dark for the sake of being dark. And sometimes, it's one thing for Batman, since Batman's kind of, it's visually dark to begin with, and gothic, so it makes sense in a lot of ways. It doesn't work when they try to do that shit with Superman, where his core it doesn't need to be deconstructed, because his essence is already sort of like, especially in sort of like once the 80s kind of rolled around and stuff, Superman's sort of essence became, even with the 70s with the movies and stuff, the concept was like, it doesn't have to be this way. Like this is he stands for truth, justice, and the American way, even though the real American way is Lex Luthor at the time. Even to this day, the American way is Lex Luthor, but Superman stands for the ideal of the American way. So that's why they're at constant conflict. Batman doesn't really have that sort of thing, because he's just like, he's the Dark Knight, he's a detective, and he's just a broken orphan with an axe to grind. And he doesn't have that same sort of deeper level of like meaning. Superman is a character written by a Jewish man that was, created by a Jewish man who was in the, during World War II, during like the era of that kind of, during that era. And, it's about an illegal alien trying to, make his way in America. Batman's not that. Batman will never be that.
It'd be funny for the Superman story. It was Lex Luthor isn't going to give his employees health insurance, and that's what the battle is. He's like, they deserve. I mean, like, They're people too.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody somewhere has like a script where Lex Luthor's basically Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Where it's just like him just like trying, like he's a union busting jackass who it's like he's
not pure evil and trying to kill everybody through like massive robotic genocide or something. He's just being a douchebag and taking advantage of the law where rules aren't stated.
Yeah, exactly. Just taking advantage of language and the people below him. Yeah. I'm sure there's a script somewhere. Yeah, it would be exciting.
We see that every day. I don't want to watch Superman battle in that.
Yeah, that's why Superman works in the way he works, because it's telling those exact stories, these really boring stories, but in this insane, bombastic kind of way.
Yeah.
And that's what makes that's when Superman's at his best. That's why the movies tend to never work for the most part going forward, because they have to be stripped down to just being action movies at a point. Because there is kind of no enjoyment in a man with all of the powers in the world going up against a man with his powers. His powers are manipulation and money. So it becomes tricky. There is ways to do it. I think they did it really, really good in the original Superman movie. They found a way to make that work. Even in Superman 2, where Lex Luthor takes a back seat, but he's still there while Superman is dealing with his other problems going on.
Yeah.
And that's 3 and 4 get a little zany, and that's where they kind of fall apart. Superman Returns handles
hearts in the right place.
It's hearts in the right place. There are good moments in that movie, but
my friend said it best. He's like, that movie's just awkward. I'm like, you're right, it is kind of awkward. There's a lot of weird things happening in that movie.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like because Bryan Singer is Bryan Singer.
Yeah.
We know more about Bryan Singer now.
I know a lot more about Bryan Singer than I ever wanted to know.
Yeah, we know a lot more about Bryan Singer now than we did back then. Because at the time, Bryan Singer really was just the X-Men guy. Despite having some decent stuff going on other than that. But, I mean, he was the X-Men guy. X-Men 1 and 2 were these massive things. X-Men 2 is still a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
But, and then he left to do Superman, because when they ask you to do Superman, you say yes, because it's
especially
Superman.
Since he loves Superman.
Yeah. I don't. It's Kevin Smith says the same thing, where it's like when they're asking him to do Superman, he's like, they asked me to write Superman, and I said yes, because it's fucking Superman.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it makes sense to do that, but I feel like I don't know where the problem lies. I don't know if it's a studio thing or if it's because it feels like the studio doesn't want to make a Superman movie ever. But they have to make a Superman movie because it's Superman. It is however it goes. Batman sells more comics. Spider-Man sells more comics. They both do better movies. They both do all of this, but Superman is fucking Superman. Superman is the superhero. It is the core of the entire industry is Superman. You have to make a Superman movie. It's just like you're obligated to do it.
Yeah.
And they just never really come together. I mean, for the Superman Returns was looked down upon. I don't think it's as bad as sort of the general consensus thinks it is.
No, not at all.
But it's still not good.
No, I loved it when it came out, and then I watched it a couple years ago, and I was like, I'm like, this certainly isn't bad, but it's not great.
You get the double whammy now because it's a Bryan Singer movie starring Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, I know. You get the creepy gay douchebag rapist combo. Like when they're behind the camera, you can forget about it. Yeah. Try your best. Unless it's Mel, because I can always imagine Mel directing. Just stop it! Shut the fuck up! Go faster! I saw a picture of Mel wearing a mask, and my friend was like, man, you don't want to get not wearing a mask around that guy. Just put it on! Put the fucking mask on!
His new movie just came out on the digital stuff today, Fat Man, where he plays the retired Santa that hit.
Oh God! I have seen Get the Gringo, because why not?
Yeah,
Get the Gringo! Get the Gringo!
but so and
Oh, no, real quick on that one. The one where it's about them making the first dictionary or whatever. It's him and Sean Penn. And, it's like something in the Crazy Man or something. And my same friend Matt was like, they're like, Mel, give us some words. Fuck, cut, whore.
Back to Superman, you have and even the cartoons, like the Batman animated series is one of the biggest cartoons of all time, bar none. It's still probably, of all of the Batman media, still my favorite.
Oh yeah, it's fucking
and Superman doesn't really become like, his cartoons never really did anything. Nobody really remembers the Superman cartoon, even though it was out at around the same time.
Yeah, it's good, but it takes a while to kind of get there, and it's never as good as Batman, but it is good though.
Yeah, and like Superman, especially like this, like for like film and television and stuff, he's great when it comes to like the Justice League series.
Oh yeah,
the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. That's probably the best outside of the original Superman movie. Him and his Justice League stuff is the Justice League cartoon stuff is like the best like adaptation stuff of Superman. I really like the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited stuff.
Yeah. The show's badass.
But like Batman has been and you go for it. I know that you like Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman and stuff, but the vast majority of everyone else, half this podcast hates that stuff.
Yeah.
But
everyone seemed to really care about Justice League.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, everyone cared so much about Justice League that Zack Snyder was able to swindle millions of dollars from Warner Brothers.
I think you're getting a lot of people that are trying to maintain their nerd credit by not saying how they think, or I don't know, because everyone cared so much about Justice League. I'm not sure where the fuck that came from. I thought everybody hated it.
But but the internet's weird that way, because there is this absolutely massive fan base for Alita online.
The movie blows.
But like you can barely go anywhere. Like if James Cameron sends out a tweet, hundreds of people are begging him for a sequel to Alita.
Oh yeah. I saw him like respond to something.
When the theaters were re-releasing old movies because of the picture and everything, and they were starting to reopen, just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people demanding they include Alita in there, and they did. They ended up putting Alita in a lot of these, like Regal and stuff. Ended up putting Alita into their rotation and stuff. Like for a movie that didn't really do that great, and for the most part is like on its best day okay.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's like with the original Justice League, I see as just okay.
Yeah, it's
definitely not a good movie, but it's also, I liked it more than Batman versus Superman and Man of Steel. I think I always think I like Man of Steel more than Batman versus Superman. Mostly, but I like
Kevin Costner.
Yeah, Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner with his fucking weak ass, like the him just the way that relationship fucking sucks in that movie with those two, and it's like, no, not only do you have to hide your powers, but I'm going to die because of this. Is a really weak fucking bullshit.
Kevin Costner finally learned how to act on that movie.
But no matter what, like, with the exception of Batman versus Superman and Justice League, which again still like performed really well, and I think most people went to Batman versus Superman just because Batman's name was in the title. I
think the general population was like, versus? Wait a minute. Yeah. Like, comic book nerds know it, but normal people are like, why do they not like each other?
Yeah. So Batman hasn't really had much like failure outside of really two. Because Batman and Robin, because Batman Forever was a hit.
Oh yeah.
Like you take away what you want. Batman and Robin is a hit, and it's still relatively sort of, I wouldn't say people are fans of it, but it holds a spot for them because of kind of Like it's endearing in a lot of ways.
Well, there's a lot of people I know that like, man, that movie's the shit. And I'm like, when's the last time you saw it? And they're like, oh, I don't know, like the 90s. I'm like, watch it again. You probably won't like it as much as you did.
Yeah, because I just recently watched it because I got that big stupid box set of all of them in 4K, and like it's still like it's not
terrible. It's a good script.
It's
and
fun
it could be produced better.
Yeah, it's fun still. Yeah. It's definitely not good, but like you know, just nostalgia isn't less of a feeling just because it's not, necessarily 100% sincere. It's still like nostalgia means something. When you watch it, you can't help but like remember that time frame. You can't help but remember going to McDonald's and getting the cool glasses. You can't help but like all of the like the marketing blitz around it. And you can't help but remember like this is a Batman movie starring Jim Carrey. Like, it's it's but by the time Batman and Robin came out, all of that goodwill was sort of gone. And by the time people saw it, they were like, all right.
We were 1 year older. Therefore, 1 year went by where we couldn't accept this kind of
because
bullshit
they also doubled down on all the stuff that sort of makes Batman Forever's legacy a little tainted.
Yeah.
Like they didn't learn any lessons from the people's complaints about Batman Forever, and they just assumed like it was still a success. So Batman Forever, so Batman and Robin's just going to be double down on all that. It doesn't help any of it. So that's like of all of like the Batman media, that one's probably the one like actual like black eye. Because like
there's been shows that haven't taken off, like there's a bunch of random cartoon shows.
Like Beware the Batman didn't do particularly well, but like it's still like that stuff's not really a metric because cartoons can still be popular, and like The Batman was a good show, but it lasted 2 seasons, I think, at most.
I got it right here. 5th season, 5 seasons.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think they're like full on 20 episode seasons or whatever.
But
it's pretty good at the beginning, and then it gets much better as it goes on.
You got like the Brave and the Bold series was pretty good for a kids show.
Oh yeah, I never did watch that one.
But for the most part, Batman even his video games, like Batman has had a lot of success in the video game market.
It is funny. It is funny, the Adam West show, because that was the best thing and the worst thing to happen to Batman. Because even when Begins came out, I remember talking to a couple people. I remember my cousin in particular, and she was like, "Yeah, I saw it, but I just can't take Batman seriously. I just grew up with him being goofy." And I'm like, well, Batman's always been serious. Yeah, but Batman, everybody knows Batman because of that show.
Batman 66 made him pop culture.
Yeah.
As opposed to what he was at the time, before that, because think about it, at the time when Batman 66 came out, Batman was 30 years old or so.
Yeah, 39.
Yeah. So Batman had been around for a long time, but wasn't like, he had some success in
a couple of serials
and radio dramas.
Yeah,
radio dramas and stuff. But like 66 Batman is where he became pop culture, where it became a character that everyone knew.
Yeah. Well, it made fun of. I mean, the guy who made that show, I don't remember his name, but he didn't like comic books, so he wanted to make fun of comic books. Yeah. And he had the rights to Batman, and that's how he did it. That was his vessel.
And the thing that's funny about it is it does a really good job at sort of taking the piss out of what comics were doing in like the decade prior to that show coming out and stuff. Like, because comics were campy again, because and things had to change. Things were changing for comic books at the time too. You have the Comics Code Authority, and all this stuff. And comics were like, by the time the 70s roll around, is when comics start getting really sort of, because the 60s is when comics start becoming superhero stories again. Because comics, with the exception of like in the golden age of Batman and Superman, that was like that, and Captain Marvel and all that stuff. But then you have the horror stuff. Like horror things became big, and military war comics became big. But then once Timely becomes Marvel and starts doing all that stuff, and you get like, I mean, in the 60s you have the Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, like X-Men. Even though X-Men wasn't a success until much later.
Yeah.
They canceled the X-Men. The X-Men were straight up canceled for like 20 years. And they were just like reprinting old X-Men's and stuff. but like, yeah, with X-Men, it's like the age of, you know, the first family of superheroes, the Fantastic Four and stuff in the 60s. So by the time the Batman TV show was on, comics were shifting away from what it's making fun of, but it's doing a really good job at making fun of what comics had just recently been.
Yeah. It's funny though, because as a kid, you don't think it's funny. Yeah. But then when you get grown up, or grown-ups knew it at the time.
Yeah, that's because the deadpan delivery really sort of sells a lot of it.
My favorite is I've seen the show, you know, growing up, but the most recent thing I've seen is the movie. Yeah. And someone who gets punched off of a boat, and then when they hit the water, they explode. Like, I love that kind of shit. Very Naked Gun. All that kind of stuff. All right. The Dark Knight. I got these 5 pages of notes. Aren't going to read themselves. Yeah.
But that's just us covering sort of like the history of Batman going into stuff. And, you know, we were talking about the Dark, and so Batman Begins hit, and now you have the Dark Knight, which the Dark changes what the future for comic book movies are going to be going forward.
Yeah, because everything is measured up against this movie. It's like, and it's funny, people think this movie's immensely dark, and I mean, not really. I mean, there's some dark stuff in there. I mean, the movie ends on a pretty dark note where, like, Harvey Dent dies, and then Batman has to accept responsibility for it.
The third
the Joker did win.
The third act is very dark. But like the first 2 are just sort of typical Batman fare.
I mean, it's not dark in the sense where, like, Jesus, that was a heavy ass movie.
Yeah.
like that kind of stuff. But I mean, the Joker wins, which is kind of cool. They just have to lie about him winning.
Yeah.
Which I always thought was cool. So yeah, I remember the bank robbery scene came out in IMAX. I think it was I Am Legend.
It was I Am Legend.
Okay, yeah. If you saw it in IMAX, you got to see the opening scene, and I saw it on a cell phone bootleg from then. So we're talking about flip phones and poor quality, and I could see like 20% of the screen, if that. So I mean, this was the last movie where I would, you know, kind of figure out what was trying to happen in the movie. Yeah. Because after a while, you know, like when something comes out like Wonder Woman or whatever, I'm like, well, I don't really care to watch the preview because I know I'm going to go see it. So I don't need to watch it. I mean, if I'm in the theater and the preview comes on, I'm not going to close my eyes or anything, but I'm not going to seek it out on my own time.
Yeah.
Or like the new Bond movie, like, yep, I was going to see that. So I don't need to see the preview and potentially have most of it ruined, since they love to do that.
They also put out that teaser, the bank robbery sequence, on the Blu-ray release of Batman Begins that came out like the week before Dark Knight came out.
Oh, yeah. Which is a cool self-contained scene because it works just on its own.
Yeah.
It pretty much just sets up the Joker and a little bit of the mob stuff.
The whole thing is set up like a short film. So
yeah. And it's so cool because it's a bank robbery, which we've seen a million times, but taken to the Batman level of the heightened reality where it's just a really clever bank robbery. And it's so cool with the guys killing each other. Yeah. And then just this whole exit and everything. And of course you get William Fitcher from Heat just to do a little Heat homage there.
Yeah. And they also put out that anime thing.
Oh yeah, Gotham Knights.
Gotham Knight.
There it is, I see it.
Which is canonically the part of this franchise.
Yeah. I think Ramirez is in a story, just kind of some of the same characters.
Yeah, it's set in between the 2 movies.
Yeah.
So like those stories are part of this universe, which is cool. It's probably the best of all of the Batman animated stuff they've put out. There've been some okay ones. They've done some good adaptions in the past.
Yeah.
But adaptions are adaptions. They're really not that fun. I mean, it's cool to see some of these stories become reality, but what's cool about Gotham Knight is it's its own stuff.
Yeah.
It's own stuff. And it's done by some of the most prolific anime studios of the time, which is also very fascinating because that is an art style that is not, especially in 2008, was like, you know, the Animatrix was going to be a lot of people's sort of exposure to a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. It's funny, Nolan talking about the IMAX, and you're like, oh, okay, you mean the stuff they make all of the space movies out of and underwater shit? Okay. And then, you know, if you saw it in a regular theater, like most of us did, you didn't fucking notice.
Yeah.
And then at home, on DVD, it didn't do it, but the Blu-ray the black bars would jump or down, which was kind of annoying, but you get used to it. And the worst part about it is it makes you it shows you how bad 35 millimeter looks because it gets better looking and then worse when it goes to the standard, and you're like, Okay, and you're
Yeah,
like, all right,
those-
Nolan, I think you're taking a backward step here. Everybody's
Yeah.
talking about digital, and you're like, I'm gonna go back and do this fucking IMAX thing.
I remember when it came. I remember it's because this was a huge Blu-ray release when this came out, and
Yeah.
people were starting to take advantage of the weird like online capabilities that some of these Blu-rays were able to do.
Yeah.
And I remember there was this weird Q&A, live Q&A thing with Nolan on where you would watch the movie and he would be like answering questions alongside while watching the movie. And it was very weird. And I'll just never forget like somebody asking him because he was talking about IMAX like cameras and how perfect they are and how the image that you get from IMAX is like second to none. And like a guy brought up like, yeah, but you have the company Red puts out these cameras and blah blah blah, and like he didn't really know what those cameras were, but he's like, but he didn't believe the guy either that they were better than I was like, nowadays like they are like the 4K camera, even like 8K and 12K cameras, like these Red branded cameras, and so it's like come on, man.
What did I remember because you told me about this, and this was actually one of my notes I was hoping you would bring up. Was they were like, so something about it being better, like what about the stuff that's better than IMAX? And he's like, there is nothing better than IMAX.
That's basically what it was. To him, there is no better visual acuity than the IMAX stuff. Like IMAX movies are the best looking movies, period. And that can be true for certain things.
For film.
For film or
to get off film, it looks better.
Like documentary shit looks great because it's all vistas and stuff. You know, it's a lot of you get because it's you get a big view of stuff and you can see detail really well in some of these like remote areas or like underwater and stuff. But you know, because like think about it, the scenes in this movie that are IMAX or that are the best are like when he's on top of buildings and stuff, where you're getting these big wide sweeping vista shots.
I love the one when he's listening when they're like Harvey Dent's been killed and it's the two cops and it's all that cool blue color. That's
Yeah, or because like these, what is it? It's basically all the outside stuff is IMAX for the most part.
Yeah, and then the big action scenes.
Yeah,
all the establishing shots are
every establishing. But like the scene, the car chase scene, the armored car chases. Is that a bazooka? That guy. I don't know why that.
I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah.
Probably because it's a cool scene, but that guy's pretty annoying and completely unnecessary.
Yeah, but like that scene is all IMAX, and it doesn't look great for the most part. Like, it's so weird that like when you have like these high intensity action scenes being done in IMAX and make the screens all blown up, and like,
and it's not wide anymore, and it like flickers when it's really wide and panning and stuff, and Well, it's funny because so the reason he doesn't do the whole movie in IMAX is one, it's
expensive as hell.
Yeah, and they're loud, so you don't want to do dialogue.
Yeah, that's why interior shots can't be done that way, because at the time, like IMAX is different now.
They're digital now, yeah.
They're digital now.
Even IMAX figured it out.
Yeah, but like, and like, there aren't a breadth of IMAX cameras that you can just get. Didn't he like break one?
Yeah, there was like 3 in the world or something that broke one. He's like, so no, there's 2.
Yeah.
It was one of I think it was that car chase, and there's the like Mercedes that has the big arm, and one of the guys crashed into it and broke one. Yeah, and they only hold 3 minutes of film in each can. Yeah. And 35 millimeter only holds like 8 or 10 or something.
Yeah.
So it's like only fucking 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Just like, no one, you're taking backwards steps. Like, you need to, you're so innovative in every other way, but for some reason, you just cannot get off of this.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah, it's weird. It's so weird, especially for a movie that is just like genuinely so good.
Yeah. I mean, he's great in every single way. I mean, and the visuals look good, of course, but they could look even better. He just like will not get off of this. Yeah. And we see that kind of behavior now starting to stifle his movies and his creativity with the sound and
he's starting to become so focused on the like art of film that he's sort of losing sight of sort of what it is to watch a movie. It's if he gets to be unchained for much longer, he's going to start turning into like in
Tarantino.
Arquette. Yeah, I think he'll go beyond Tarantino. I think he'll stop.
I mean, I just think what Tarantino does is
yeah.
Tarantino thing, and that's it.
Yeah.
Or like Paul Thomas Anderson, just but in his Nolan way.
Because I think he's gonna. I think if they just kind of keep giving him money to make whatever he wants, whenever he wants, however he wants, inevitably his movies are going to become incomprehensible. Like it's just going to be like those like old art housey movies of like the 80s where it was just like there's no dialogue and most of it's like a 20-minute close-up of an eyeball and then a person gets stabbed and then they dance and it's gonna be like nonsense. You're just like, okay, well
the thing about him is that I mean I haven't seen Tenet, so
it's going to turn into the Barney Gumble a short film at Don't Cry for Me, I'm already dead.
I always think of that episode when you watch a movie and there's like a really bad something and like 27 takes and that was the best one. That's what I always think of. But with Nolan, I mean
that's his non-union Mexican
non-union Spanish equivalent. Steven Spielberg.
Senior Spielberg.
Senior. I always think of I don't always think of anything. The thing with Nolan that makes him so good is that he's early. Like I said, I haven't seen Tenet, so I don't know. I've just gone off of what I've heard, and most of what I hear anybody say is a bunch of bullshit anyway. So I shouldn't start listening now.
But the problem is the stuff that you hear about Tenet.
It's common.
It's the stuff that you've there's a lot of complaints that you've had about, and it's consistent, and it's expanding upon complaints you've already had about Nolan stuff.
That's true. It's true.
So it's like so you can believe it more because it's like. Yeah, this has become an increasing problem, and I can see this, and sort of his own marketing leading up to the movie of Tenet, with the way it was like how important film is to the universe, kind of thing.
But he knows what the audience is going to pick up on, like because this movie is really fast. Like this movie doesn't really stop to take a breath ever. Like the story just keeps going, and you see things and you understand it because he's really good at knowing what you're going to comprehend, and he's been really good at that. And just a sound or I don't know, just little things like that, and it works. And I could see that going too far, which sounds like Tenet does go that far. It does go too far.
Yeah,
because that's the line he's always balancing on.
Well, that comes out like as we're recording this, like next week or something, I think. So.
Oh yeah. You can buy it, and it's a lot. I'll have to rent it because I'm not going to buy that first. If what I've heard is true, but never know. A lot of movies I've heard of and I've stayed away from, and I watch them and I fucking love them. So you never know.
I forget what the most recent one was, and I was like, "You motherfucker." Where it was just like this bad movie that everyone hates, and you're like, I thought it was great. Just like how I used to be with you in The Happening.
Oh yeah, I watched it again, and
you used to like, I like that movie. That movie's great. I'm like, no, motherfucker, it is not great. I don't know what the fuck your problem is.
Anything before I was like 25, maybe 27, I have to reevaluate, which I have, and I've gone back on many and changed my opinion on them. I do love in this movie because we saw in the other Batman sequels, each time it was a new movie, the suit changed, the car changed, the cave changed, and in this it doesn't. And when the suit does change, it's part of the story. It doesn't just change because he's back.
Yeah.
And Batman returning and Batman Returns, he's returning for us. He's been there.
Yeah.
And Batman Forever has nothing to do with the title or with the movie. Just Batman is Forever, which makes it sound like the last movie, but it's just Batman Forever. Yeah. So I like in this. And even in Rises, he doesn't get the car back. He has the motorcycle, and that's all he has. And he has the same suit and stuff. So I thought that was really cool.
And it's funny because it's funny too because Bane gets like all of the car, gets like an army of tumblers.
Yeah, and they're pre-painted black and stuff, which is really cool.
Yeah,
which is very awesome.
Yeah, he could easily have just reclaimed one of like a car for himself to take on this attack, but no, he just like
bunch of Hummers.
Yeah.
He wants these ones so he can just rub it in Batman's face that he's got his car and now you can't have it.
Yeah.
He's like, now I have your car. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So this, when you think about it, is really the only Batman movie because the first one is him beginning,
Yeah.
The next one is ending and like coming out of retirement.
Yeah.
So this is like the pure Batman movie of him just doing his most Batman thing.
This is Batman running on full cylinders at his peak.
Because he's been doing it for 6 months, and he's got his ultimate foe.
Yeah, he's got his foe. He's starting to. You get the glimpses of him being a detective.
Yep. You see him doing his Batman thing, like even putting Lau at the steps and having the note like delivered to Gordon Batman. Like that is so from the early comic books. It's like what he would do. Just drop him off at the police station steps with a little note.
Yeah, it's because it's a thing that I always say, and I complain about it with all of the movies, is that you never really get to enjoy the characters of any of these superhero movies, because even when it's something like Avengers or something, or the X-Men or anything, you never get to see them as like fully functioning teams.
Yeah, they're always just dealing with the biggest issue ever.
Like, you don't get to see them doing their best. The only time you get to see them is when everything's falling apart, and that's kind of... I wish people would have more fun with it, because it would be fun just to have them having a movie of just a low stakes Batman movie where it's just him like fighting a bad guy and solving a mystery.
Yeah,
I would like that. It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to always be this is going to change his life or the city's life forever, because 90% of stories in reality aren't like that. So,
no, I mean that's just how movies work. I mean, and these stories work so well with Batman.
That's how studios work more than anything. Like
that's what I mean. Movies as we know them, that's how they work. Big budget movies and everything.
That's why shows are always sort of like I always want like more shows, but they're never great. Like
I want TV shows to be good. They're just generally not.
Yeah, especially with these superhero stuff, which I'm hoping for the best with like these upcoming MCU movies, TV series stuff, because they're smaller scale but longer distance kind of thing that will have repercussions by the time they're done. But that means there will also be episodes where it's just like, it's just an adventure, a high budget adventure with these, A-list celebrities doing their thing,
Yeah. So. Well, it's funny seeing this movie because I thought this was the beginning of this giant, Batman was going to get taken over by actors and everything.
Yeah.
And so when The Dark Knight, it was good and everything. I missed some of Begins, I missed that it wasn't really about Bruce Wayne. Yeah. I missed the look of Gotham because I loved it in Begins, and it wasn't that anymore. No. And I mean, not that these are dings against the movie or whatever. And then I was like, I hope for the third one they don't try to do this more, because it will be unwatchable, because this movie is really fast. And it's just like, if they try to do this again, it's going to suck. And they didn't, which I was glad. But it's funny looking back on it as, a trilogy, just a 3-act story. I like The Dark Knight way more after Rises came out, because I'm like, oh, okay, good. This is just it's just the middle part, and it's the most Batman version. Yeah,
at the time there was no way of knowing that this was going to be just the
middle
and the penultimate, because it's impossible to know a lot of this stuff, because just because a creator might have an idea in their head doesn't mean that that's how it's going to pan out, because he doesn't own it. He doesn't own this stuff. If the studio decided they wanted to go back and make more of these movies, they could, if they so well wanted to. Just remember, we used to always have that joke where the James Bond movie we wanted to make would be the one where it'd be impossible for them to make another James Bond movie.
Yeah.
Just imply that all the adventures that you watched were the only adventures he ever went on, and then kill him.
Yeah. In a really slow, like, cancer from the hospital bed.
Yeah, not in a glorious way either.
No.
It's like $1 million baby kind of way. Just like it just
the drama.
Just ruin it so they couldn't make another James Bond movie without like restarting the entire fucking thing.
Yeah. Which they ended up doing, I think.
Which they ended up doing, yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I love that they're not clear as to exactly what the fuck any of this James Bond stuff is, and they will never be clear about it. No. We just have to accept that, like, this is just these ones are canonical. Are they canonical with the other ones? Oh, maybe.
Maybe if you want them to be. Which is what I love about Bond. They're just kind of like, wait, has he been doing this since the 60s? I don't know, like, whatever. It just is what it is. Okay, just fucking watch it.
They have all that stuff because it's like, is James Bond just a title? It's not his real name. Is it? Because like you have the stuff with like in the most recent ones, like, here's the car from like Dr. No or whatever, but it's like he never drove this. Did he? Maybe he did. I don't know.
Which is what I like. It doesn't really matter that it's like, shut the fuck up and watch it.
Yeah, and you have Moneypenny, that whole thing with
yeah. Well, you have Judi Dench reprising her role, but it's different.
Yeah,
different timeline, I guess.
Yeah, and you had the guy that played Q across all of the Bonzeses until he died.
Yeah, Desmond, whatever. Up until I think Tomorrow Never Dies was the last one.
Yeah.
Or no, maybe it was The World's Not Enough.
Well, where they introduced John Cleese alongside with him.
I think it was that one, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like I wish more movies, comic book movies, could benefit from just making comic book movies.
You get so held up on those stupid details.
Yeah, as much as I love the MCU and just the sort of like the fine details and everything is connected in a way and all that stuff, I would also just like a Spider-Man movie, like more consistency, maybe like more consistent releases, and like with that non-canonical or whatever, like I would like do some multiverse stuff or something, just like stand alone. This is just a Spider-Man story.
Yeah, or not even say what it is, just fucking do it.
Yeah, just do it. It's a thing. It just exists. You don't have to show me like, God bless them, they haven't shown me Uncle Ben getting killed again.
Yeah.
The Spider-Man's been in 4 or 5 of these MCU movies and they've only mentioned him like once. So yeah, it's funny. Remember when the Mr. Reese guy, how people thought that he was going to be the Riddler? The Riddler, because it's Mr. Reese. Yeah.
You're like, I'm pretty sure the people who are making this movie are much smarter than that.
Yeah, but also, are they at times? I mean, let's be honest here.
Well, the people making this movie. I do love him doing Batman things as Bruce Wayne, because that's like super from the comics, like him bringing Lau in to get a closer look at him, and him on the motorcycle, and because this one's cool because it has a lot of stuff during the daytime. Actually, I think most of it's during the day. Yeah, now that I think about it.
And they do the thing that they always do in the comics too, where he has to go above and beyond to make Bruce Wayne like an asshole. So that way nobody can get close enough to him to realize that he's gone when he's doing his Batman thing.
Yeah.
And also to like do his whole Playboy thing. So it makes him, gives reasonable excuses for him disappearing or not being around and stuff. Yeah, because there's always those weird stories where I remember there was this Batman story where Bruce Wayne went to Scotland, and while he's in Scotland, he gets all up in this thing and he starts becoming, and he has to do Batman stuff too. And I'm like, that he wouldn't do that.
Yeah, no, he wouldn't know.
Because that is like, oh, what are the chances that Bruce Wayne and Batman are both in Scotland at the exact same fucking time?
Yeah.
0.
Yeah.
But here we are, and it's just the goofiest thing. Like, comics can get away with that because
who cares? You just want it to keep going. Who cares about the details?
I just want a story. Just give me a story, and that's So
I love it when Bruce meets Rachel and Dent in the restaurant, and she says that he's taking her to the ballet, and he's like, "Oh, you're into ballet." Yeah, it's like his little shot that he takes out of is so funny.
Yeah.
And then I love that his Russian ballerina sure has a lot to say about American crime and law and justice issues. She really has some strong opinions about this.
She really has. She's like this, like she's like a radical leftist in this whole fucking thing.
Like arguing with billionaire Bruce Wayne and the district attorney of Gotham.
Yeah, so it's actually, that whole scene's really fucking good. It's because it's both like really fun establishing these characters and also super silly at the same time. In a very enjoyable, in a very comic booky way, which is super enjoyable. So
he's like testing him by saying what he doesn't think to push Dent's opinion out to see what he really thinks. Yeah, it's really cheesy. It's fucking cheesy because it's so blatant, and like he's not even really doing it that well. But it's just. Well, his stance even in Begins is he doesn't like Batman, so he's always had that. And no one listens to what Bruce Wayne has to say anyway, because his opinion sucks on everything. Because he's like, they're talking about it, and he's like, well, I grew up here, I turned out fine. It's like, yeah, you didn't grow up like everybody else did.
It's the opposite of Spider-Man, where Peter Parker really likes Spider-Man, and somehow is the only guy that can get Spider-Man photos.
No one questions it.
Nobody questions it.
Um,
So good.
I also like that Dent does like Batman, which is cool because it's kind of different than what you think he's gonna do, and it kind of works for the end when he goes off and does his own thing, where he likes this guy who breaks the rules and just does it.
I think it's not so much that he likes Batman exists, but he likes the it's an ends to a means for me. It's like I can't, as the I'm running for this office. Yeah, I know. He's getting it done. Like, it'd be best if we didn't have Batman, which is also Batman's belief. Which is like cool. In more recent times, it's like it's always been Batman's want to not have to be Batman anymore, but he's so caught up in it that he can't see the forest through the trees kind of thing. Where he's. I
was going to make fun of it and say I've never heard that phrase before. What does that mean? But that joke wasn't funny enough to interrupt you.
Yeah.
And I just did.
Yeah. So he's just constantly sort of stuck in this battle as Batman, where and it becomes increasingly in the comics. It doesn't really present itself too much in the movies because it plays out exactly how Batman's desires are.
Yeah.
In the comics, it sort of becomes like, it is the story of all of this. Batman exists because of all of this, but all of this keeps existing because of Batman.
Yeah, that's it. It's like he's making the supervillains by being what he is,
by still being there and still creating this and having his code and having his thoughts and having his beliefs and still wanting to not be Batman anymore, but he has to be Batman and he can't give up the mantle, because if he gives up the mantle, then it's free reign. And he always has these sidekicks that he keeps at arm's length. So they're never fully trained to like replace him when needed. And so he becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy in that regard, especially in the comics, but that doesn't really present itself in these movies because
he has a purpose. It's like this is fucked up because there's this all the corruption. I'm gonna stop that, and then things will go back to like, just let me get him back on track.
It's like weirdly political. This one's political. This movie is super political. It's funny when you get to the end of Dark Knight Rises, which we'll get to when we get to that episode, where it's like what stops him from being Batman isn't really like his end goal. Like there is no Dent replacement. There is no like Harvey Dent who's going to make a difference.
That's true. Yeah.
He just sort of stops a nuclear weapon, and that's good enough.
Like the city got completely torn apart and will have to be rebuilt in a different way than he planned on.
Yeah. Like nothing's technically better.
Well, he has a Batman to replace him now.
Theoretically, but like we don't know that,
We'll see if Blake can take it.
Yeah, but like, he doesn't. But like, this kid has had none of the training Batman has had.
He has more. He's a cop. He's not a ninja though.
I was gonna say he was trained in the mountains by a group of mysterious ninjas.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyone can become a cop. It's not like. You've seen some of the cops on the street. Like it takes a whole lot of training. It's, to be that. So, and he's got cop training, which is not the best for Batman training. Cop training gets you Azrael. That's, so he didn't fix anything other than this one thing of the week. Like this movie is focus. He wants to save Harvey Dent. He wants to make sure he's protected because he's the guy that believes what he believes and can do it legit. It in a legitimate way.
Because Batman exists because things are so corrupt that you need him. You need someone like him to not use the rules.
That can just go where he wants to go. And he's a criminal, and he realizes he's a criminal. But that's that's extreme okay times. With him. It's extreme times, and that's
And you see how Batman is because he makes that thing at the end to spy on everybody, but that's not what he uses it for. He uses it in an extreme situation, and then he destroys it after it because someone else might have that and go, wait a minute, what else could I use this for? But we see how, where Batman, his loyalties really lie, which is doing the right thing.
Yeah.
That's always the thing with the rule benders. They'll eventually go too far with it.
And I like that's Fox's initial reaction to it. Like, this is fucking bullshit.
This
exists. This should never have existed. This is like, this is like nuclear deterrence. This is kind of thing. Like, the wrong person comes in here and has this, and everything's ruined.
And he knows that.
Yeah. And so he's like, I'll fucking do this, but this is it.
Yeah, I remember when he said that in the theater. I was like, "Oh God, is Morgan Freeman not going to be in the next one?" Yeah. And then I was like, "No, they'll take care of it."
Yeah,
I was like, maybe Freeman doesn't want to be in the next one.
And the little smirk that he gives when it's all done and it starts destroying itself, like, you got me. Yeah,
he's like, "Oh, good. I thought I was going to have to quit, and I don't have anything lined up after this. I'm 2 years away from my pension.
Yeah,
from retirement." I love that the Joker gets 2 intro scenes because he gets the whole bank robbery scene, and then he gets the cool one through the metal detector and everything. Well, they really got him down where he's not cracking jokes and he's not making jokes. Yeah. His jokes are like really funny, like when he has all the grenades and blow this out of proportion, and when he does the pencil thing, and just like it's like those are the Joker kind of jokes.
My favorite is when during his introduction, he's in there. It's like, it's not cheap. You should know. You bought it. It's a really good fucking line.
Oh yeah. Oh, that seems great.
Yeah.
And Eric Roberts does a really good job in this movie. He's like very subtle. Does a lot of really cool faces.
Eric Roberts' career is such a fucking bummer.
It is, but he's so good.
He's so good.
Great fucking actor.
And now he's just become fucking a nobody in like straight to video like bullshit that nobody that's like got a budget of like $10,000 and like
$20 on Cameo.
Yeah.
On that thing where celebrities will wish you happy birthday or whatever.
Yeah,
he's like cheap.
Yeah, I bought my friend one. His birthday was a couple of days ago, and I bought him one from like a independent professional wrestler that we both really like, and it's like $20. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's a gift I could buy somebody. That's
how much you would spend anyway.
Yeah.
There was a great line. It's in the script. So like 2 things, at least in the script that I had. Obviously, I'm sure they don't release everything, but it was in the art book, and I had the script in the back. And after the party where he tries to kidnap Harvey Dent and stuff, Joker gets in the car. And one of his thugs says, "What are we going to do now?" And Joker says, "I'm a man of my word." And then they leave. And then the other one was in his second intro scene when Eric Roberts is like, "If killing Batman's so easy, why haven't you done it?" And in the script, he goes like, "My mother always told me never do something for free." Yeah. But it was like my mom always said or something, which I wish that was in there.
That's a very Joker line.
Yeah, it's super funny.
That's definitely the kind of Joker line like the animated series Joker would have used.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
You can definitely hear Mark Hamill's Joker saying that line.
Yeah. Do you remember when they announced Heath Ledger and people were pissed?
Yeah,
like, we're gonna have like a gay Joker. You're like, because that's the only thing you can do.
Because he just came off of Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah, and it's funny because he wasn't flamboyantly gay in that movie.
Yeah, and like even before that, it's like, and like he's been in other movies, man. Like,
yeah, and he hadn't really been in anything good. Brokeback was his first that
was his breakout role. That was that was his like Hollywood coronation, which is a fucking bummer because like he really he was on his way of becoming something.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, it's funny because
even though his next movie was going to be that, whatever, I forget what.
The Grimms.
No, that Dr. Parnassus or whatever the fuck it was.
Oh yeah.
Where they had to replace it with like 50 other actors to.
There's Terry Gilliam anyway, so
the Imaginarium,
not to be good.
The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus was going to be his next movie, which is like, well, I guess it's not.
Yeah, well, I remember because I was like, Heath Ledger, and I was like, well, he hasn't really been in that much good stuff. I'm like, he is. I'm like, I guess he's good in those movies. The movies just suck. And I was like, well, I trust Nolan. Like, if he's picking this guy, it's for a good reason.
I'm looking at his stuff right now. You got 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yep, this is definitely his best thing.
The Patriot.
Oh yeah, the Patriot.
A Knight's
I
Tale.
am convinced. I am convinced in the Patriot, when Mel Gibson has the American flag on the staff, he would have impaled somebody with it, but they already did it in that Simpsons episode.
Yeah, that
so
Simpsons
they
show
couldn't
where
have done it
where
because he
his
hit
remake
somebody.
his remake of Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Or,
Yeah.
what else? Monsters Pews and Monsters Ball.
I never saw that one.
Ned Kelly. The
Oh,
Order.
yeah.
Oh man. Lords of Dogtown, which is that skateboarding movie.
Oh, yeah.
The Brothers Grimm.
Yeah.
Yeah, then he did Brokeback Mountain, Casanova,
Yeah.
Candy, I'm Not There, and The Dark Knight back to back to back.
Oh,
Remember that
yeah.
I'm Not There where he was like, where there was just like a bunch of different people playing Bob Dylan?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
I have since gotten into Dylan since that movie came out, and I'm still not interested in that movie. Thing about Dylan is funny because he's always done interviews. He hates interviews.
Yeah.
He will give different answers to his background every time. So you can't really trust anything he says. So I just quit reading interviews with him because I'm like, he's just making shit up. Like, you want to know about the guy, but he's not going to tell you. So I'm not going to read it. I love pointing out stupid things in movies that I don't think are stupid because movies are movies, and but it depends on the movie. Like the Star Wars prequels, people just look for things frame by frame, try to find anything they can to shit on those movies. But then when it happens in other movies, they don't really care about it. Like in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, Indiana Jones, everybody just shit on it. All these funny things in there, like Indy in the refrigerator, and it flies up in the air and he lands and he comes out and people are like, what? He's fine? And you're like, well, in Temple of Doom, you didn't really seem to notice when he jumps out of a plane in a raft and he hits the ground and he's totally fine. Or when they're in the hallway with the rats in Last Crusade and it's oil on the ground and he has the open flame with the embers falling off and it doesn't light on fire. Which
or the submarine scene.
Yeah, the submarine. Yep, that's the other one. Yeah,
well,
I mean, like stuff in their reality works, but then the nerds, especially with the internet, really go to town on them.
Aliens is a step too far, whereas they're ghosts and spirits and actual cursed artifacts. Like they open the Grail and their face melts off. That's but Aliens is a step too far. Like
that's too much. Yeah,
there are plenty of things to complain about with that movie, but like those kinds of things, like that's just fair for these movies.
Exactly. I mean, you shoot somebody once and they're dead. Yeah. And so with this movie, I thought of Joker stabs people and they're dead. They're just like when he's on the pool table and he pops up and he stabs those two guys and they're just gone. And then when he has his knife in Black Dynamite's mouth and they're talking and you don't even, which is cool, you don't see him do it. You just see the guy watching and the music goes dun and then he falls over dead. Like we only saw that knife in his cheek. Did he just slash it and he just like
he died from a cut cheek.
from his cheek being slashed.
Yeah.
And there was another guy. What was the other one? You can talk. I'm trying to find it. Oh, I found it. When they're in Bruce Wayne's penthouse and the Joker's talking to Rachel and he's got his hand around her and the camera's spinning around and then Batman's like, well, you're gonna love me. And you're like, how did he sneak past like everybody? Like that is a big open room. There's no like hallway he could have just popped out from. Like he just like tiptoes his way and nobody happens to see him. Like I said, doesn't bug me, but just like stupid nerd stuff that they would be all over for that kind of shit. Yeah. So, anyways, that's I always love pointing those out for people. But in this, it's like the reality that they create, where it's like the camera is spinning around, so you don't think about it. So in the movie, when Batman does it, you don't really notice it the first time, or like when he cuts people and they die, that's just the reality that they established, or that there's no blood until Harvey Dent. Even though Joker uses his knife quite a bit.
Yeah.
But it's just the reality that you create in this movie is a good example of it. I was a little nervous about the Scar story too, because Joker's like, because in this, I'm like, God, I hope they don't do his background, because I always think it's kind of stupid. And he's like, he says the story and you're like, he just kind of said it and that was it. I'm like, that was kind of dumb. And then he says it again. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. It's this thing. Yeah. Like he just makes up some new story every single time.
Yeah.
And in that scene, there's a U.S. senator in it.
Yeah.
He's like, we're not intimidated by thugs. And he's, what's his name? I wrote it down somewhere. Patrick Leahy?
Yeah.
Lee? I don't know. I can't read my handwriting. He's a Democrat from Vermont. And like he's a fucking huge Batman fan. And I think he does a voice on the animated series. He's in Anne Robin. and Batman vs Superman. He might be in Forever too. But yeah, he tries to get any Batman stuff that he can because he just fucking loves Batman.
Got to get Bernie Sanders into a Batman thing. Talking about like politicians from Vermont and stuff.
He's like, "Hey Bernie, you want to be in this?" He's like, "What?
The Bat Who?"
I remember that show. I do love in this. If you notice, they do call him the Batman. Like every time they reference him, it's always the Batman.
The Batman,
which is really cool.
Yeah.
Like,
it's funny that like the next movie is The Dark Knight Rises. Like The Dark Knight just sort of became the title of the franchise.
Yeah, because the Dark Knight trilogy. Well, it's just cool. It was the first superhero movie not to have their name in the title, and I was like, wow, that opens up a whole new world. And then they're like, it's The Dark Knight Rises. I was like, what?
Yeah.
It makes sense in the movie, but I was like, come on, guys, you could have done anything.
Yeah, I would have really preferred them to have gone with like another name or so. Just make all three of them have different Batman related names or something.
The Dark Knight Begins, The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
That'd have been really funny. I remember at the time hearing this.
It would be cool to have a movie called like The World's Greatest Detective and have it be a Batman movie. That'd be fucking cool. Nobody would know that until like they see the trailer. It's like, wait.
Yeah. Oh, I remember some people, like just regular people, they're changing Batman's name. It's like, no, that's always been one of his little nicknames or whatever you call those. I remember in China when they shot there, I remember seeing this report when it came out, and they asked the Chinese people in the area to keep their lights on because they were going to shoot. They didn't turn their lights on. When you watch that scene, there's like no lights on except for like the brand on top of the building. Like there's only a handful of lights that are on in those skyscrapers. China was not into it.
It wasn't until
they don't want to help out Batman.
Yeah, it wasn't until very recently where like the movies in China became a thing. Like, keep that in mind. So,
this was
Nowadays they would be like helping with production. Like,
exactly. What the hell happened to Aaron Eckhart? Because that guy's great.
Oh, I love Aaron Eckhart, but and
he's not really in anything. Like,
no.
I mean, he's in stuff, but he was never in anything that was like A-list like this. He just he's in that Battle Los Angeles dumb movie, and probably the biggest starring role he had.
I love Thank You for Smoking.
You know what? That was I think I bought that used, had it for like 10 years, realized I was never gonna watch it, sold it, and now it's on Netflix or Amazon. It's on Amazon. And I'm going to watch it.
I mean, it's pre-Dark Knight, a couple of years before Dark Knight. And I have a friend that we always argue, like, why the fuck isn't Thank You for Smoking out on Blu-ray? You can't get it on Blu-ray. It's DVD.
Yeah, it's weird.
Or digital, and that's it. I love that movie, and you can't I have to watch it digitally or on DVD. That's right. He was in Olympus Has Fallen.
Oh yeah, I guess that was kind of big.
Yeah,
that movie has one of the best lines I've ever heard in the movie, where Gerard Butler's talking to the bad guy through a camera, and he's like, "Before this is over, I'm gonna put a knife in your brain."
Oh God, yeah,
a knife in your brain.
Yeah, I'm just looking at what he did afterwards.
And that movie is overly violent. I mean, like, coming from me, that is a lot, because I read Viking sagas because real modern day stuff isn't gory, isn't violent enough, and I only get my yayas filled with violence through old Viking stuff. In that movie, they just shoot everybody like 30 times. They're on the ground dead. They like keep shooting them. Just the blood is everywhere, and you're like, are they going to show him kill every single person in Washington, D.C.? Because they are just fucking annihilating these people.
Yeah.
It is over the top.
He did that bad Frankenstein movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think he's just made a lot of really bad choices.
He was in Sully. That's an
okay yeah, that was a good one.
He was in Midway.
Oh, yeah.
That was just last year.
The Roland Emmerich answer to 1941. Or wait, not that.
He's in a movie. He's co-starring in a movie called Wander that's out in this year, theoretically, starring Aaron Eckhart, Heather Graham, and Tommy Lee Jones. So, after being hired to probe a suspicious death in the small town of Wander, a mentally unstable private investigator becomes convinced the case is linked to the same conspiracy cover-up that caused the death of his daughter. So that's something.
There you go. Yeah, that town name just sounds fake. One of my favorite lines from this movie is Commissioner Loeb, which is obviously from Jeff Loeb, who wrote The Long Halloween, which is where I Believe in Harvey Dent came from. But he has a great line when Gordon goes in there to tell him that about the DNA on the cards, and they're like, Joker's picked who he's gonna kill, and he's like, Gordon, what are you up to? his delivery on it is so funny. Gordon, what are you up to? And it was cool that guy came back.
Yeah.
Oh man, when the mayor walks up to the window and the fake Joker Batman hits the window, scared the bejesus out of me the first time.
It's a scary scene because it's intentionally used as a jump scare.
Yeah, and they don't do the thing where the music drops right before it, because normally you know it because they bring everything down. It just like, holy fuck. I do love Batman not drinking, like throws his champagne out. Yeah. Which is cool. Good little Batman thing. And I love it when the Joker picks his glass up and he chucks it all out because he picks it up so hard.
Yeah.
And then drinks and there's nothing in there. Like, those are good little Joker jokes.
Yeah.
I never really understood in the penthouse scene, though, how Batman knew they were coming for Harvey Dent. Because, like, everyone's getting killed and he just kind of comes up and puts them in the sleeper hold. Yeah. I mean, unless he, like, saw them coming on the cameras or something.
I would assume.
Which is what I'm going to assume.
Yeah, I mean, he's got secret passages and everything everywhere. It's clearly.
Yeah, that's something that we talked about before that people would call a plot hole. Like, you just have to think about it. Like, there's plenty of ways Batman could have found that one out.
Yeah.
Maybe him and Gordon were texting, which I kind of thought was funny this time because they text at the end. And I was like, Batman never texts back. You text to him, he'll never respond.
Yeah,
this Batman, LOL.
I like Batman, Batman with a burner phone or something.
Yeah, because it shows the number. It doesn't say private.
Yeah,
it's just some random ass.
Batman just has an actual phone number that you can get in contact with him instead of some sort of like weird two-way radio situation or something. Like,
yeah, he accidentally uses it and he's like, "Shit, I didn't mean to do that." Another good one.
It completely defeats the purpose of the bat signal if they could just text with one another at rail.
I mean, they do say in this one that it doesn't really work that often.
Yeah,
he only shows up sometimes. It's just more to scare everybody else. Yeah, I do love when he's holding the Joker's holding Rachel and he says, "Let her go." And he says, "Poor choice of words."
Yeah,
which is a good kind of play on what always happens in movies.
Yeah,
yeah, that's a good one. The bullet reconstruction scene is pretty cool, but it took me several watches to get what the hell he was doing. I was like, what happened there? Like, I know this makes sense, but I'm not picking up on it. And after a few times, I'm like, oh, okay, now I get what's going on. Because they show him start it, and then it ends with Freeman. And then you're like, a few scenes later, and I'd already kind of forgotten what I got. Freeman has a great Freeman line in this one where when Reese is talking about, and then he's like, your plan is to blackmail this person? Yeah. Good luck. Yeah. Just such a Freeman. With that Freeman charm. Just good luck.
Yeah. He doesn't have to add the good luck at the end of it. Like the point was made, but then he's like, all right, well, mazel tov.
Yeah, it's such a Morgan Freeman thing to do. Totally off topic. I thought of it for some reason. It was MXC. That show is now on Amazon.
Oh, sick.
Which I've been wanting to see that show forever. Because I watched it all the time.
That was a great show.
The game show, physical game show where it's Japanese and they dub it in American and make up a whole bunch of stuff.
Kung Pao Enter the Fist, but a game show.
And funny. No, I haven't seen that movie. I don't know if it's not funny. That's just my assumption.
I like that movie an awful lot, and I quote it a lot because there's some shit in that movie that's beautiful.
One thing I never noticed until I think you brought this up when we did Begins was that this movie doesn't really have that much action in it. Yeah, because I was like, there's plenty of action, which there is, but it's really tiny. It's just like little scuffles, and the movie's really quick. So the story's action packed the way it's told, but there's really only like the car chase, and then even the building at the end. He's just kind of throwing the SWAT guys off.
Yeah, the Batman doesn't really have because I think the point was that it's not until Dark Knight Rises where there's actually fights. There's actually things going on because Joker's not really much of a combatant. Never has been. Always gets his ass handed to him in every fight. His goal is to just maybe he'll get a blade into your ribs or something, but he's not really going for the. there's no fight scene. Like the
And
end
there's
is-
plenty of little fights, but they're not
Yeah.
like giant. Like
Yeah.
the story's stopping, so we can have
Yeah.
this big old fight.
Yeah.
Just like when he goes into the nightclub, which is such a Batman thing to do, to just walk into the nightclub and just beat the shit out of like 20 people.
Yeah.
I love Eric Roberts, and she's like, can we go someplace we can talk? And he's like, what makes you think I want to talk? And she's like, what? That's always my favorite thing. It's like, what? I can't hear you. What?
What?
Just saying something about not being able to hear and then saying what. Oh, I noticed that Gordon has a son in this, not a daughter, to say fuck you know Batgirl, but at the end he does have a daughter. She's just really young. And that kid is from Tacoma.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's born in Tacoma, Washington. I was like, I have to know this kid in some way, right? Like, it's a kind of small town, and I know a lot of people. So I was like, holy shit, I gotta hook up with this kid who was Gordon's kid in The Dark Knight. There's a picture of him with Ted Danza on his profile. This kid's got to be something. This kid's going places. Oh, and Gordon's wife is Scully's sister from X-Files.
Yep.
Which I was quite surprised. I was like, why she looks so different? And I was like, I guess I haven't seen her since 1994.
Yeah.
And yeah. So that was a funny surprise to look that up and be like, oh man, there's a X-File connection to Batman. two of my favorite things. I do love when Batman breaks Eric Roberts' legs.
Yeah.
And he's like, this won't kill me. And he's like, I'm counting on it. And you're like, that's pretty Batman to do.
Yeah.
I guess he killed Liam Neeson in the first one in kind of the same way. Like, I'm not going to kill you, but I'm not going to help you either.
Yeah.
Oh, and I do love how they do Harvey Dent's coin in this.
Yeah.
Where it's like he flips it, but then he just tells you whatever he wants to do, which is a cool thing. Makes his own luck.
Yeah. Well, it's because it's the two-headed coin. Yeah.
Yeah, which I've seen in real life, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's very cool to the way they scar it. Like it's the coin becomes scarred because of what turns him into Two-Face. It'd be like if in the comics, if the acid got on his lucky coin too, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love that it's a realistic Two-Face where he's only Two-Face for like a 24-hour period.
Yeah.
Maybe a little more. And he's not obsessed with things being two.
Yeah.
Or with fate. I mean, but he is obsessed with fate, but in a much more realistic way. Or chance, because that's what Two-Face is. But it's cool that they do the things that are true to the character or that work best with the character and make it their own or give it a real explanation. Because I remember being mad that Two-Face died because like he's so important for Bruce Wayne overall in the comics, but then obviously this is movie 2 out of 3. So and like you said, you're like, he wouldn't live that long.
Yeah.
With that scarring, I'm like, that is a very good point.
Yeah. By like next week, he would just be so infected with all the open bullshit that he'd be just be. It's the thing that's interesting about this Two-Face is because the thing that was always silly about the initial Two-Face was just there was no everything. There was that's silly, but also like
he's obsessive compulsive in it, so it kind of works.
Yeah, but like they don't really give a too deep of an explanation as to why the acid, being scarred made him snap.
Yeah. And they set it up badly. Very well.
This one, like you can always tell there's a little bit of darkness to the character.
Yep. His alley scene where he's trying to scare the guy with the gun and everything, and he's not gonna go for it, but he's close. Yeah.
There's always and to link his problem with a woman that he loved, which ended up getting her killed.
Yeah.
So he just as much to blame. He sees himself as to blame for her death.
Yeah.
Even though it was more Batman than him, but
it's the Joker told him the wrong place.
Yeah.
Rachel. Ah!
Yeah. with the new Rachel, Rachel 2.
So disappointed. She
Yeah.
does not look like, she doesn't have the same girl next door quality that Katie Holmes has. And
Yeah.
Maggie Gyllenhaal needs to take a nap or something. I mean, she's really good. Her voice is kind of annoying, but not too annoying. She's that kind of Mia Farrow annoying.
Yeah. So they at least set up enough things to, because like you have this, so it's the Joker does this, causes him this, kills his fiance. He is now in complete and utter agony in a hospital bed.
Yep.
Not taking any of the painkillers, and you have the Joker come to visit him and try to explain himself away. It's just sort of this right sort of concoction to sort of snap this guy for the 24-hour period he needs to be snapped.
Because he never has time to get over his initial grief. Like, he acts on it so quickly. Because the Joker puts the gun in his hand and he and he gets him going, because it's like, maybe if some time would have gone by, he would have snapped out of it, but he acts on it, his emotions then.
Because even in the comics, there's very little excuse for him to be villainous, other than because he's just obsessive. That's not a reason to be. That's sort of, it's one of those things where it's like they use schizophrenia as a plot device for a character, where it's like, you're kind of being disrespectful to the idea of what these sort of mental illnesses are. So it's like, oh, all it takes is like you to get like, he wasn't even like, his life wasn't even in danger. He's just scarred and obsessive compulsive, and now he's evil. So
that acid, once that acid hits your face, you just become a totally different person.
So they do with the limited amount of time you have with the character, they do a good job at sort of setting up the building blocks as to why he does what he does at the end of this movie. So,
and it doesn't feel like you're getting set up, because this has so much to do with Bruce Wayne and Rachel's storyline that it's kind of cool. So then when it happens, you're like, oh, this happened before my eyes, and I wasn't really thinking about it. Because sometimes in movies where something happens and you're like, they're gonna bring that shit up later, just like because it seems so out of left field or whatever. Which I really like. So I guess they were supposed to blow up the Batmobile in Begins, but they loved it so much that they couldn't get themselves to do it. So in this one, they're like, okay, we have to do it. And then the way they came with the Batpod was like, okay, at least the Batmobile kind of lives on still. So that was kind of the way that they justified it. That Batpod spinning is so cool every time. Just every time it does that, you're like, oh shit, that's fucking awesome. I remember the toy was like, had the Batmobile, and then the pod came out of the back, and I was like, is he like put it on like you would a bicycle or something? Like, is there a hitch back there? And then I saw the movie and I was like, okay, that's how it does it. That makes sense. I do always use this movie as an example for, I hate it in movies when like they try to dick you around and like, I mean, this is a bad example. It's just the first thing that popped in my head. Okay, this is a good example. Never mind. Okay. Scratch that first example.
Okay.
In Star Trek Into Darkness, when they make you think that Kirk died for like half the movie, and you're like, I know he's not dead. Okay, he's Kirk. Like, and sometimes for the story you have to do that. Sometimes you're just trying to dupe the audience. And in this, Batman's gonna give up being Batman, but it's only for like 5 minutes. Like, story wise, he needs to do it, but they never try to actually make you think that's gonna happen. So that was a very good way to do it, where they don't waste your time and they don't stretch it on. They just do it, and then it's over with. And then you're on to the next zany thing. No, I'm just joking. This movie's not zany at all. That fucking semi-truck flip over was so fucking badass. That was such a good visual, and that you've never seen done before like that.
Yeah.
And on the preview, they don't show anything past this point.
Yeah.
So I always thought this was the big confrontation at the end with him driving at him.
Yeah.
And then I remember watching the movie and I'm like, wait a minute, I don't think I've seen anything that happens after this. And I was like, cool, I have no idea where we're going.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me a story when this movie came out where, when you think Gordon's dead, or in quotes, you think Gordon's dead, and he takes off the mask, and he said there was a guy sitting next to you that was like, he was like genuinely surprised that Gordon was still alive.
Was super surprised that Gordon didn't eat it in like the first act of this movie.
I don't know if you remember that one, but
I didn't until you just said it, and now I can remember it distinctly.
Oh, that's so funny. It's such a funny thing to do.
I saw this movie, obviously opening weekend,
Yeah.
And I saw it when I went to Disneyland. It was
Yeah.
one of those things where it was like the last day of the trip and I didn't have a ticket to the park anymore.
Oh,
And
yeah.
my parents went to Palm Desert to see my uncle, and I'm like, I'm not going out to Palm Desert. It's 125 degrees out there.
Yeah.
So I stayed behind with the dogs, hooked them up in the Disney kennel, and then I saw 2 movies back to back.
Yeah.
I saw This Again and X-Files, I Want to Believe.
Oh, that's right. That's right. They did come out. I don't know if it was the same weekend or if it was.
They at least they crossed time in.
It was either that or the next one. I saw it at midnight because that's when I used to do that.
And it also,
and then I think I was going to see it like 2 or 3 times the next day. And then I think we watched it twice, and I was like, I'm good. Like, this isn't Star Wars where you can, like, there's really a lot to take in. Yeah, and I was like, I don't want to see this again. I got everything I could for now out of it.
This movie was the beginning of the end of Midnight Movies.
Oh, the next one was the end of it.
Yeah. Because once
in spades.
Yeah, because like once that happened with Dark Knight Rises, the you know what of the theater, they stopped midnight releases. Why unclear? Why they just associate at midnight? Because
I mean they would do it at like 8 at night. They brought it back,
still,
which is great.
Yeah, it's still like 8 nighttime movies. I'm glad they're earlier. Like, I'm glad I can go Thursday at 8 as opposed to.
Yeah.
I can go after. You mean I can go after work and then still be able to go to work in the morning? Cool.
Yeah, I have to take the day off to go see this movie 8 hours before I could normally see it.
Yeah.
I outgrew the midnight movie. I was like, I can wait till tomorrow, or maybe even the next weekend. Like, I don't have to go see it. One thing when it's like a special
movie, like when we went to go see The Fog, you know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because it's like it's playing at.
It's the only fucking time
it's playing. The only time it's playing. It's the only time you get to go see this movie. It's one thing when it's that. It's another thing entirely when it's just like this movie will also be here this weekend. I'll be okay. And now we live in the era because remember like Revenge of the Sith is like when Fandango like really took off.
Oh yeah.
And now like I haven't bought a movie ticket at the box office in fucking almost 20 years at this point. Like,
yeah,
because everyone is now buying their tickets online too. So you don't have to worry about getting there early, so you can get into the movie. I've had my ticket for a week and a half.
Yeah,
the movie's still going to be there on Saturday. I think the only thing you have to worry about now is if you don't want anything spoiled for you, just stay off of social media, and you have absolutely no fucking problem with that. So
because when you were in school, it was like you could. Even someone could tell you deliberately, or you could overhear it.
Yeah.
I remember at first when reserving your seat came out, I was like, I know this is a good idea, but I'm not into it quite yet.
You were so against it for so long. It was so funny.
Yeah, I was like, I knew it was a good idea, but it was just like, it went against everything I knew.
Yeah, you think you fucking dumbass. This whips.
I like I said, I knew. I couldn't get on board. It was against everything I knew for movies. Well, and it was kind of annoying too because it's like you can never kind of spontaneously go. It was like, especially if it was a big movie and you're like, I want to go. Then you look, all the good seats are gone. You're like, fuck. So that was kind of annoying. And it was kind of the people who are going to be quiet generally got there first and got the good seats, and the douchebags came late and got the shit seats. So you want to have to hear them talking and ruining the movie for you. But now, I mean, seats are so spaced apart that that's not really even an issue anymore.
Yeah.
Of course, it still happens because people are fucking retarded. But I mean, oh, sorry, I used the R word again. Honey, get off the
1 hour 47 minutes. I got it.
It's how long it took me though. People are fucking stupid. How about that? How drink water? How about that? People are such fucking idiots that they can never do that.
Hey, there was that one guy that when you went to go to the bathroom turned around and told me to tell you to shut up because your voice was annoying.
That wasn't during the movie, though.
It wasn't during the movie. It was before the movie, and I was like, you could tell that he could tell that my energy was like, I'm his fucking dad. Leave me alone. Turn around and just watch the movie. He's not going to be chatting when the movie starts. So shut up.
Believe it or not, when a movie's on, I don't talk.
No,
that is the one thing you'll get me. The one time you'll get me quiet.
Yeah, I have a tremor in my leg, and I remember you like stopping me, like stop your fucking leg movement, like in the one time. Like I can't help it. This is something that I do. It's not intentional, but you're like.
I have this thing where if something annoying is happening, I can't let it go. I just focus on it.
Yeah.
I try, but I can't do it. I do love in the interrogation scene with Batman where he punches him in the head, or he slams his head down, and then he's like, "Don't start with their head." They get all woozy, and he punches him in the hand. And Joker's obviously in pain, and he's like, "See."
Yeah.
It's like really funny. It's just like a good way for, I don't know, good Joker thing.
It does a good job at really making you realize just kind of how shitty cops are all around in this movie.
There
isn't really a, like, with the exception of like Gordon, who's a detective more than he is a cop. Like all of the like cops are just all these like aggressive assholes. Like,
well, they're all corrupt.
Yeah,
like the Batman system that he's fighting against is still there. Like
he
the corrupt
plays
cops are the problem.
Like the way the Joker plays directly because he knows that these cops are all fucking assholes.
Yeah.
So when all he has to do is insinuate that his cop friend, like, it was like, would you like to know which ones were cowards? Like he knew that was going to get his ass beat.
Yeah.
Because these cops can't help themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, he knew he could infiltrate the system, and yeah, which is really cool. I do love that his makeup's like really inconsistent. Like each scene, it's like different, which is cool.
And I like that there isn't a moment where he doesn't have grease paint like on his fingertips.
Yeah, I noticed that in the hospital where it's because it's cool because it's like he snuck in with his normal face, put that on in the bathroom, and then came out.
Yeah,
which I thought was good. Which I use that Joker wearing the mask thing as a it's like even the Joker can wear a mask, so if he can wear it, then. You douchebags who voted for the racist president can probably wear one too. The Joker's fictional, but still.
Yeah.
I'm still going to use it as an argument. Like when people are like, "Well, people don't do that stuff." Well, in this movie, this guy did. And you're like,
they actually do that in the comics. Like they have little ads for like social distancing and stuff, and they have like a drawing of the Joker wearing a mask. And he's like, "Even I'm not that crazy."
Oh, that's a good one. It's way better than anything I could have thought of. Let me see what else I got here. I guess when they blew up the hospital, it was a real building, of course, that blew up, and it had been sitting around vacant for a while, and some vandals broke the windows out, so they had to add them digitally.
Yeah,
which no one was pissed about.
That's a lot of the when there's a lot of destruction in movies that are just like. It's like, oh, you're gonna implode this building in like a couple of months. Can we film there?
Yeah. You add fire.
Yeah. And there was the building, like the scene where the building doesn't blow up right away is an actual accident that didn't.
I think it was real. I think people thought it was an accident. I remember reading it and like, oh no, that was intentional. If I remember incorrectly,
because I wasn't all that long ago where I read something that was like, no, it didn't go off right away, and there was a delay. But I mean, it went.
Yeah, I don't remember that way, but it could be. Yeah. Do you remember when back in the 90s when they were talking about Die Hard 4, and they were supposedly when they were going to demolish the Kingdom in Seattle, they were going to use that explosion.
Yeah,
I don't know if I should look that up. I don't know if that's true or not, but. I was really hyped for Die Hard to be.
Yeah, there was no way they could have really have done that effectively because like that hospital was kind of like not in a like the Kingdom is in such a dense area that an implosion isn't exciting. Like you couldn't do a real explosion. You couldn't have an outward thing. Like because they could do that in the hospital because there was a lot of area around it that you could have had a controlled explosion.
Yeah,
wasn't going to risk surrounding buildings and stuff.
Yeah, because they add that debris shooting out with the fire and stuff. Because real things don't look like that.
Yeah, because when you demolish a building, you make it because you saw when the Kingdom imploded, it's just the beams went off one by one, and it just sort of folds in on itself. It's kind of. It doesn't look like something blew up. It just looks like something fell apart.
Yeah, like in my house, they had that smokestack growing up. And they blew that up, and I was very excited. And it wasn't that cool. It wasn't this big fireball. It was just like dust flying, and then it crumbled.
Yeah.
And you couldn't really see it because of the dust.
The old Sarko site.
Still cool, but it wasn't the explosion that my third grade mind was thinking.
Every time we go to a movie, we're probably getting like cancer because of that place.
I lived like less than a block away from that thing.
Yeah.
It was right there. I got the arsenic in my lungs.
It explains a lot.
Yeah, that explains why I like Batman versus Superman. It's because of that arsenic that went into my brain.
Yeah, just poisoned your mind.
Speaking of explosions in this movie, I don't know if I've ever really seen this before, but when the explosion happens, you're with the character. And like when Rachel blows up, it's like the fire in the wind or the light in the wind hit her. And then when the cops blow up, you see it inside the dust hit them, which is really cool. It's like you fucking see it happening from like ground zero.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. Then you got the ferry scene and then the Pruitt building, which I always thought were kind of weird.
I always liked the scene
they're cool, but they're
just
kind of
double back for a second. The scene with after the explosion and everything, and there's the really good scene of just Batman standing in all the rubble, like in suit with all. That's a good visual scene. That's a really good scene.
And then I love it when he's in the penthouse and he's got the suit half on, half off, which is very comic books.
This is you're so used to seeing that scene of Batman in his giant leather chair, slumped down with like his cowl to his side, and like Alfred in there coming in to like do something. Because even in his origin story, it has him like sitting in his chair waiting, like trying to like figure his shit out because he just had his really unsuccessful night as a vigilante.
Yeah.
In his blackface and scar.
Yeah. They do it in Rises too when he's walking off from the bat plane and he's holding his cowl and he's like got that's very, very out of the comic books. Yeah. Him just in the cave with his head exposed.
Yeah.
Not hiding it at all.
Yeah. It works because it's a common Batman trait, but it's always dumb in like all the other superhero movies, like because you get it in like Iron Man and Spider-Man all the time.
That's what I thought of Iron Man.
Yeah, where they nonstop have to have ways for them not to have their mask on because we paid millions of dollars for this actor, and you're gonna see him.
Yeah, you want to see Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, it's like no, I'm here to see Spider-Man, and Spider-Man's thing is that when he's Spider-Man, he's Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Batman, the times when he's like Batman when he's in the Batcave and he's got the cowl off, that's when he's like his true self, where he's both Batman and Bruce Wayne as one.
You do see his face, the real Batman face, when they're at the penthouse and he catches that guy doing that chick in his bed.
Yeah,
and then when that guy attacks him and he beats him up and rips the gun apart, and then you see his face, like that's the Batman face without the mask on.
Yeah,
which is really cool.
Yeah. Even
in I think the animated series when he's in the cave with just him and Alfred, he still does the Batman voice.
Yeah.
Which is cool because he's like being Batman.
Because that's him probably in his truest form.
Exactly, yeah.
Because it's him being both Bruce Wayne, where he's exposed as a normal human being, but is also Batman because he's in this fucking cave with all of like a supercomputer and his butler trying to figure out where Killer Croc is right now. So that's when Batman's at his like truest. That's always fun. So, but like with Spider-Man, the only time he ever takes the mask off and is like in suit with no mask is when something tragic's happened. It's been destroyed off of him, or he's like in panic mode or something. But like, or same thing with Iron Man and stuff. Like, because secret identities are important, and there's kind of a lot of that stuff. And there's no a lot of these superhero movies don't really deal with secret identities too much. Like the Batman one sort of does, but it's not part of the story.
Oh yeah, totally. I haven't talked about the music yet, which is very cool in this movie. So Hans Zimmer is great because you can't really tell a Hans Zimmer score from one to the next. Yeah. I mean, you kind of hear Begins and you're like, this kind of sounds like Gladiator a little bit, or Pirates of the Caribbean and stuff. Yeah. But he really will go out there and try some new ass shit, which is great. Because John Williams, as good as John Williams is, pretty much kind of always sounds like John Williams. I mean, he has some where he departs, like Minority Report's kind of a weird score for him. And
none of them are like Danny Elfman, who like you recognize it from 10,000 miles away.
I actually watched a movie with Danny Elfman do the score for, and I had no idea. And it was Dead Presidents, which is a fucking killer movie, and it was really good. And I was like, who did this? Oh, it was Danny Elfman. It's like, man, it didn't even sound like him because it always sounds like Danny Elfman. Just a lot going on. Yeah,
Beetlejuice sounds like what's another good one? Like Darkman sounds like the Simpsons opening scene.
Batman.
They all have that sort of like diddly kind of quality.
Yeah. And Hans Zimmer, like, he'll fucking go for it. Like, in this, they basically just use noise for, like, the majority of it. And it's really effective, especially for what they're going for. Because I love noise, but in music, like, rock, it has to be part of the background. You can't have it be all of what you're listening to because it doesn't really work because it's pretty fucking annoying. But in a movie, it works really well, especially where you use sustained instruments like, with bows and stuff to really stretch the sound out. And when you have noise, it's really effective because you don't actually need a piece of music to get the emotion across. You can use noise like they pretty much do, and it sounds great. I guess they wanted to do the wide eyes and begins, but they couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
I mean, they just didn't have time to put it in there.
Yeah, they figured out they figured out a fun way to implement the iconic Batman look in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I didn't think. I was like, I'm pretty sure they had this idea and they just kind of leaned into it. But they were like, oh no, we were trying to do this the whole time. I was dead wrong on that one.
And it's also in terms of composing, you also have James Newton Howard, who's involved with the music of this.
He did Begins, right? I don't think he did this one.
He did Dark Knight. He did The Dark Knight. He was there.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah. And he did and he also did the King Kong. He did Space Jam.
He made music before too, just like pop music or whatever. I have it on my list, but I haven't listened to it yet. Yeah. Just because I know him from this.
And he's kind of exclusively been working with like M. Night Shyamalan lately.
It's like him and Spielberg and Williams just only working together.
Yeah.
I remember the rumor was that Heath Ledger was going to die in this movie since he died in real life.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, because the Joker needs to be in it. Like, obviously he can be recast, and which of course they didn't do. And I was like, and it doesn't really make sense for him to die. And I was like, and it'd be kind of weird if they actually killed him. And then Batman throws him off the building. I was like, oh shit, he's going to die. And then he pulled him back up. And that's really cool when he's upside down and the camera rotates. So you're level with him, but it's upside down.
Yeah.
And Joker does it too when he has, the kid from the Breakfast Club, the news guy, and it's like, and he's doing that breaking news, and he's reading the papers, and he drops them, and they fall, and you're like, why do those fall? It's because he's upside down, but everything's made to look like it's level. Which I really love that one. Let's see one there right here. Oh yeah, and I do love the way it ends, like with them lying about everything, and it's kind of a cool thing that Batman's never really done before is take credit for the bad thing to do the good thing. It's like kind of cool, like that Batman can be that person, like Batman can do these things because Batman isn't a person. And like Gordon's speech about Batman at the very end is very cool. Yeah. And I love that. That's all my notes right there. Of course, I didn't say them all. I crossed out many, but
yeah.
Like
I like the people that were trying to get the Joker role before, like it was.
Paul Bettany was number one, right?
Paul Bettany was going to be in there.
Because I know they wanted somebody who had never done anything like that, and then the Da Vinci Code came out, and they're like, "Oh, never mind."
Yeah,
he's kind of like that.
Yeah, Steve Carell wanted to do it.
Did?
Yeah.
He would have been good. I mean, I wouldn't have thought that then, but now you're like, yeah, Steve Carell's really fucking good actor.
Yeah, Adrian Brody.
Oh yeah,
Robin Williams, which I know was never wanting to do it, and being a runner, a contender, is two different things. Like, of course, Robin Williams wanted to do it. Like,
Yeah, I remember people really wanted him to be the Riddler.
Yeah.
For the next movie, because everybody wanted the Riddler really badly.
I would have liked to have seen what Nolan's Riddler would have been like.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But.
And especially to get a good Riddler on the screen, because Jim Carrey's was Jim Carrey's.
Yeah, that's the thing. The Riddler can only really work as what we were talking about earlier, like, sort of a standalone thing, like it's low impact Batman story, because like, what are you gonna do? It's like, it's a fun character. I've always liked the Riddler, but also like he's a low impact villain.
He's great in the animated series. He's so cool in that. Like the way they do his suit, where it's like green with like the question mark tie. He's not like wearing the leotard with question marks.
But and honestly, of the 66 Batman villains, his Gerson's Riddler was probably the best of the villains. It was very it was a very fun character in 66 Batman. I liked him more than pretty much any of the other villains. It's funny,
Romero with his mustache painted over.
Yeah, it's funny that at one point they were going to introduce Two-Face into the 66 Batman.
Yeah,
and it was going to be William Shatner.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember that.
They eventually got around to doing that. They did an animated one where they brought in Two-Face, and they brought in Shatner to do it. So that's cool that they did that.
Yeah, I love that Adam West never really figured it out. Like, he was like, I don't know why they make Batman like this. Batman's supposed to be fun. You're like, yours was, not every other Batman, but yours is fun. Like, you guys did what you were supposed to do.
How come Batman doesn't dance anymore?
He was so pissed when he didn't get a cameo in '89.
Yeah.
They're like, that would completely blue ball the movie, or just yeah. I don't know the word.
Yeah, he never really outside of like he never really got the cameo in Batman anything outside of like, you know, really his return to Batman was whenever they did like those Batman 66 cartoons and stuff. Like,
oh, the Gray Ghost.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the Gray Ghost. Yeah, which was really cool.
Yeah, it's a good way of handling it too. But yeah, he never really like his Batman exists as his Batman, and he doesn't really get to cross over too much.
And he never will.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Like, he hasn't crossed over at all. He's stuck in limbo.
We all know Adam West is in hell now. For all the terrible things he's done.
For what he did to Batman.
Yeah, that's why Satan's gonna anally rape him for the rest of eternity because of what he did to Batman.
This movie has in it Tiny Lister, the big scary black man that takes the controls of
Devo from Friday.
I know him best of all as a wrestling fan. He was the main antagonist in No Holds Barred, the Hulk Hogan movie.
Oh.
He was the main bad guy, and they even brought him in a couple of times to wrestle Hulk Hogan on pay-per-view. Yeah.
I just know him from Friday. Is Devo?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. He is Zeus in wrestling lore.
Yeah, there's a really funny part in the ferry with all the criminals, because there's like guys like Devo and all the other guys they show, and then there's this old white guy with white hair and glasses, and he looks like your next door neighbor, and you're like, what did this guy do? Because all the guys they got were like real big and like thuggish looking, and there's just this like nice looking guy. You see him in there.
Yeah,
he's really funny though. And then the ship captain, who looks like your typical, like whaling ship captain, but he's just the captain of a ferry boat.
Yeah.
He's got the beard and the hat and stuff.
The one thing is, I do like that Cillian Murphy gets small roles in all three of these movies.
Yeah, he stays in there, which is cool. He was the first villain for Batman, so it's good that he pops up.
Yeah, he'll pop up in the next movie too, which is great.
Yeah.
And also, we didn't talk about it, but one of the opening scenes where Batman does his "I'm not the one in hockey pads."
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not wearing hockey pads. I think we talked about the voice last time, where people always make fun of it, and I'm like, he does a voice like he's trying not to sound like Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, it's just a bummer that it kind of is a bad voice. That's sort of the thing. Like, it's.
I only really noticed it like during the end of it when he's like, "He took you because he was the best of us." Like, it's kind of funny, like the emotional scenes, but when he's just yelling like, "Where are they?" It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, no, but he does spend a lot of time talking as Batman, and it's not good. It's definitely the reasoning to it. It's fine. It's just the voice isn't that great, and he kind of doubles down on it once you get to Dark Knight Rises.
He talks a lot more as Batman.
Yeah, and it's just like, okay, man.
It'd be funny if he just uses real Christopher Christian Bale voice, just English. Like, Batman's English.
Yeah, it would have been funnier. I mean, that would be great. Like, just Batman just talking in his. It's like
we all know Bruce Wayne's not English, so who's this Batman character?
Who's this Joker? Wait a minute.
Everyone comes xenophobic, and they just start beating up all the English people that are in Gotham. Are you going to talk about the Academy Awards or other movies around that time? Or whatever?
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to talk about. If there was any.
Just get to it because I got to pee. Not bad. I have enough time for this, and then
not enough time. You have enough time for this, but we got to talk about like. It's like release first before we get to that stuff.
I realized I have a mute button on here, so I can just bring a cup out and mute it when I need to. Yeah. Just like when I filled up my water, I muted myself.
And also, if I wanted to, I could just like mute you myself too, just like this. And now you're muted. You can't do anything. You can say whatever words you want to say right now. but I've but I've unmuted you. So
I see it up here. The host has unmuted your mic.
Yeah. No, but like, yeah, this movie came out to just, as we all know, critical acclaim.
Yeah.
Like nonstop critical acclaim. We were talked about it earlier. Unclear how much of the acclaim comes from just sort of feel good reasons of giving Heath Ledger his due in his death.
Yeah, especially because he got like nominated or won Best Actor, which is ridiculous.
Because he won.
Yeah, it's ridiculous because nobody ever gets nominated for roles like this ever. And it's clearly just because he died, and they're like, God, this guy's a good actor. We want to honor that he was a good human being.
Yeah. And it's a great role, but it's not like it's above and beyond any other kind of. It's great for a comic book movie, but like, you know,
it's a cool characterization that's unusual, but it's not like, I don't know. It's just, I mean, obviously it's good and everything, but it's just as good as everybody else in it. And like we said, this isn't the only fucking role that's ever been like this. And it's just something that the Academy would never, ever touch with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
I mean, and they normally nominate these to be like, see, we're acknowledging that, you know, he died.
Especially in recent years, the Academies have just increasingly gone closer and closer to like giving the awards to the feel good option of like, this is the first, you know, whatever first like that, like,
well, they need ratings, and they're trying to get more people to watch without sacrificing their sensibilities, and it's terrible because they're half and half doing it.
And you had the whole like, you know, and they're constant trying to. It's one thing to try to like recognize when you're like having like, you know, when you have shortcomings and sort of course correct them. It's another thing to like have your shortcomings, not really realize what people are saying, and then when you try to course correct, you just drive the car off of a bridge. Where it's like, you know, just like with the whole like well, he didn't nominate any like, you know, African American like anything when there were plenty of roles that could have been nominated for that thing. And it's just, and you know, so what do? They like course correct, and it's like make rules that nobody asked for. There's like, all you have to do is pick one. Like, you don't have to like change the rules. You're the one. You're the ones that are following these rules. Like, you don't have to make rules. A lot of these rules are pretty much exactly the same as they've been anyways.
Yeah, that's what you said,
but like, all you have to do is like, because it's already all bullshit. Like, a bunch of people making up stuff as they go along.
Yeah, it's like, all we want you to do is acknowledge this and not ignore it. And you guys are like, hey, look, we're changing the rules to be more inclusive, and we're kind of being more racist by doing this instead of just opening our eyes to more stuff.
Yeah, because there is a shortcoming with the way they nominate people, and there are things that get overlooked that kind of just because for various reasons, and some of it probably, you know, because it's groups of people making these decisions, and some of it may come from a racist person. One may come from a person that's just kind of oblivious to everything that's going on out there. And you know, because there are times where things get looked past, but that's just the Academy Awards as well. There's plenty of times where people get snubbed. It's like, you're giving them this nomination when there are like, you know, 12 better movies that could have been nominated for this. It's just,
I know, it's so funny. It's not just black people that are getting snubbed. It's every other movie besides the pretentious movies that they're going for is getting snubbed. Like, every movie that I'm into or whatever, or most.
Because by all accounts, when you ask kind of any critic, even snooty critics and everything, Dark Knight was the best movie of the year.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, it honestly should have won the Academy Award for Best Picture because it was the best picture of the year. Everyone was sort of agreeing on it. Like, even Roger Ebert gave it 4 out of 4 for a comic book movie. Like, it's
he's cool. He's usually like that.
Yeah, he's usually ahead of the game. But like, but this is one of those weird things where it's just like. But yet, as much as progressive as they're trying to make the rule set be, they'll never be truly progressive by just acknowledging what's actually a good movie, and because what they want to acknowledge is what was made to be a great movie, not what was a great movie. Because the thing that's great about The Dark Knight as a movie was that it's a great movie that wasn't made to be like this. It wasn't made to follow the rule sets of the Academy Awards.
No.
To win an Academy Award. Heath Ledger didn't take this role thinking for a second he was going to get the Academy Award for this role.
Yeah.
The best movies come from the movies that are just created by the creators,
just genuine,
and they're just genuine movies. Like even bad movies that are at least genuine have some sort of foothold. You know, we make fun of The Room all the time, but it's genuine. That's
the most genuine movie ever made.
Yeah, that's why it has this sort of staying power. It wasn't trying to be a bad movie. It wasn't trying to be what it was, but the genuineness behind Tommy Wiseau's vision of that movie and what came out, like as bad as it is, the reason it has its staying power is because
the passion is oozing off the screen.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, you know, a movie like Crash that ends up winning Picture of the Year was sort of like created.
Yeah, it was engineered to do that.
Like hand engineered to be an Academy Award nominated film, and it was rewarded. Whereas other movies that will come out that year are, you know, created with that everyone loves. Critics, fans, they all love it. And won't even get like it'll be lucky if it gets noticed for like sound design.
Yeah, well, just like with big summer blockbusters that are engineered to hit all these demographics. So are the Academy Award movies, but only for the Academy Awards. It's just the same thing but different.
Yeah, you have less there's kind of less sort of strife with like the big summer blockbusters because at least they're being like created in a lab to be generally entertaining.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, you know, they're trying to get as much money as possible because by virtue of making a movie that is fun to go see. It may not be smart, it may not be telling a particularly original or creative story, but it's something that you go to, you have fun, you watch it, and it's done. Why the superhero movies have been as big and successful as they have been.
Which is ultimately what stories and movies are. They're just supposed to be entertaining.
Whereas a lot of these things, you know, Monsters Ball, you know, won Academy Awards and stuff, and it's not a good movie. It's kind of it's a hard watch, and it's got
Halle Berry's not very good.
Yeah, it's got some good performances in it, but like, you know, she didn't.
That was Black Year, right? She won, Denzel won, Sidney Poitier.
Yeah, Sidney Poitier got the Lifetime Achievement Award.
That's when the Academy, they're like, okay, fuck, we'll give it to all the main categories, and they'll be good for a while.
Yeah,
don't bug us with this stuff anymore.
It fucking worked for the longest time. You know, at least Training Day was a good movie, and Denzel was great in it.
Yeah,
like that was at least fine. Like
Halle Berry was like, who do we have that we can give this to?
Yeah, So yeah, this movie came out 8.6 on Rotten Tomatoes. Let's see, 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. It was an 84 on Metacritic, so that's high for any movie.
Yeah.
With an A on Cinema Score, and it made 287 top 10 lists of 2008. More than any other film of 2008, with the exception of WALL-E.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So WALL-E came out this year too, and that was a huge thing.
Well, that's a good one. My kind of movie. They don't talk a whole lot.
So yeah, and it's sort of remained on when it comes to like movies of the decade lists and stuff. It's like you know, it was definitely in like the top 10 on almost every list and stuff.
Yeah.
It was a big movie, and it stayed a big movie, and sort of opinions haven't changed since then. And it made a buttload of money. It made $535 million in North America, $470 million overseas, making a worldwide total of $1 billion.
It looked like it was going to beat Titanic for a little bit.
It was sort of on pace. Like
it was getting close.
And so the last couple of weeks, it sort of petered out.
Even got an IMAX re-release.
Yeah, it became
in December or something.
Yeah, it became the 4th highest grossing film, and it was the highest grossing film of 2008, and the 4th movie in history to gross more than $1 billion.
Jeez.
So, hell of a thing, man. That movie just really hit hard and came out at a good time.
Yeah.
And sort of 2008 is when comic book movies, between this and Iron Man, everything changed.
I think also with Begins, it didn't set the world on fire or the box office on fire, but I think everybody saw it on video, so people were ready to see The Dark Knight because Begins was good, and Begins gets way better the more you watch it. I mean, it's great off in the beginning, but it gets deeper the more you watch it.
Yeah,
because everybody's like, man, I watched that a few more times and that got really good.
Yeah. So Academy Award wise, let's look. Let's see.
Let's lick.
Slumdog Millionaire won.
I still haven't seen that. It's on Amazon right now, and I was like, I guess I should watch this. You never know what you're gonna get with Peter Boyle.
Yeah, it's true.
All over the fucking place in a good way. I mean, like that guy goes for it.
Sean Penn won for Milk.
Oh, that was good.
Kate Winslet won for The Reader.
Again, Gus Van Sant. Never know what you're gonna get with that guy.
Heath Ledger won every Best Supporting Actor award that year. I'm looking at it. He won the Critics' Choice Award.
He won supporting? I thought he got Best Actor for this, which
it was supporting actor. It was supporting.
Okay. That's a little less terrible.
I'm going to look it up in a second to see who else was nominated. He won the Golden Globe. He won the SAG Awards, the BAFTAs.
I remember this was the first year the Academy nominated like 10 movies for Best Picture instead of 4, which was, again, another bullshit attempt by them to get ratings because you're like, okay, we know which ones are actually nominated. Because I know for a fact District 9 is not actually being considered to win Best Picture.
Actually, only 5 movies were nominated for Best Picture this year.
Was it? Okay, maybe it was the next year or something.
Best Picture nominees were Slumdog Millionaire, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, Frost Nixon, Milk, and The Reader.
Okay, it must have been the next year then, or something like that.
Danny Boyle.
I remember District 9 was nominated.
Yeah. Danny Boyle was winner of Best Director. Best Supporting Actor nominees were Heath Ledger, Josh Brolin for Milk, Robert Downey Jr. for Tropic Thunder, Philip Seymour Hoffman in Doubt, and Michael Shannon in Revolutionary Road. So.
Oh, yeah. I did see that. I don't remember Shannon in it, but I did see it. I don't remember Brolin and Milk, but Brolin's good and Milk was good.
He was Dan White in Milk.
I saw it once.
Let's see. Best Actor. Yeah. Oh yeah, this is the year Mickey Rourke had a real chance at becoming an Academy Award-winning actor.
Yeah, his comeback that lasted for 2 movies.
2 movies, and that was it. Yeah.
Then he was just Mickey Rourke. I love his feud with De Niro.
Yeah,
he thinks that De Niro made it so he wasn't in The Irishman. I'm like, look at all these actors in The Irishman. I don't think you're in their league.
Yeah,
he just, fucking hates De Niro for no real reason.
Yeah. Top 10 movies of the year. Number 1, obviously, Dark Knight.
Yep.
Number 2, a movie we talked about on this particular episode.
Iron Man.
No. Yes, but also Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Ah, yes.
Number 3, Kung Fu Panda.
Oh, yeah.
Number 4, Hancock.
Oh, yeah. I saw that not too long ago. It was actually good. I liked it.
Yeah, I was surprised. My dad watched it the other day, and my mom was with him, and my mom was actually like, that's actually kind of like that movie, and I was kind of surprised that she was
it's a little bit different than I thought it was going to be. It was cool.
It's. I think the ending gets really kind of hokey and dumb, like the sort of reasoning behind everything that's going on. But overall, the story's really cool. And I kind of wish they went at least one more, try to make something.
Oh yeah.
Number 5, Mamma Mia.
I remember that was opened up the same week as The Dark Knight, and I was like, I guess if you're not going to see The Dark Knight, you're going to go see this. I'm like, why would you open up on the same weekend or the same day as this?
Number 6, Madagascar: Escape to Africa.
Oh man, my father-in-law loves those movies.
Now, keep in mind, when I do say Escape to Africa, it is the number 2 because it's the second movie.
Of course, yes.
Number 7, The Quantum of Solace.
Oh yeah.
Number 8, Iron Man.
Iron Man.
It's funny to look at it like this and realize like this franchise ends up becoming like one of the biggest movie franchises of all time.
Yeah.
And it starts off like kind of mediocrely, like because remember at the time when this movie came out, it was the Marvel team. It was like, oh, they're dusting off these characters no one gives a shit about. The Spider-Man movie is out there, the X-Men are out there, and Warner Brothers has their Supermans and Batmans and all that stuff, and now they're like, oh, we got to get a piece of this pie and start off to, from an outside fan, a nobody character.
Yeah.
Comic book fans knew that, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, those are the Avengers. Those are the guys. These are like Marvel characters. of course, like this is exciting for a comic book.
Yeah.
Fan. But outside of this, Iron Man was never really. He had a cartoon that only lasted a couple of seasons, and that was kind of it. There was never, like Spider-Man. At least had like live action stuff and animated stuff throughout decades. The Hulk, characters like that, but like even Captain America had some weird, goofy stuff. But like Iron Man was nothing.
Yeah, remember Robert Downey Jr. too was not a draw. He was he was on his one of many comebacks.
Yeah, this was his like I'm clean now.
For good.
Because like, also the same year was Tropic Thunder, which was so Iron Man and Tropic Thunder were the same year, or the same time frame. Because so then Tropic Thunder was a huge movie for him. That was sort of like the big like here he is, he's back.
Yeah.
And then Iron Man comes out, and everyone's like, actually, you know what? This is fucking good. He's actually and he's great in it. Like he was a perfect call for Iron Man.
Yeah, totally.
And number 9 was Wall-E.
Oh yeah, good stuff.
Just a great movie. And,
really good.
And number 10, rounding out the top 10, was one that I wasn't really expecting, and that's the Chronicles of Narnia, the Prince Caspian movie.
Oh, the second one.
Second one, yeah.
Yeah, very good.
It's funny that that's in the top 10 because like you don't like because the first one was a big hit. I think it was like number 5 the year it came out.
Oh yeah, I remember people were like, "Don't show your kids that it's Christian, it's propaganda." I'm like,
it's all Christian.
I'm pretty sure your kids aren't going to walk away thinking that. It's like the little bit they just kind of say stuff is not gonna influence their mind.
Now this year was the year of Bolt, so I did a Disney compendium covering some of the stuff before. So Bolt was the big Disney release of the year.
The year of Bolt.
The year of Bolt. Back when Disney was starting to finally kind of turn shit around. Starts with Bolt.
It all comes back to Bolt.
Yeah. What else? Anything fun this year? In the Name of the King, the Uwe Boll video game movie.
Oh God.
Cloverfield.
Oh God. I kind of want to watch that again because I didn't like it the first time, but I don't think I'll like it again.
I like it, but like, it's just it's a poorly it's very thinly excused reasons for like, footage thing, and they don't do a good job at explaining some of the stuff, and they kind of have cameras work in a way that cameras don't work. So
that's right. That's the main thing I didn't like. It was too contrived. It didn't just kind of work. I do like Matt Reeves though.
Yeah. But and the thing is, the next 10 Cloverfield Lane's an exponentially better movie.
Yeah, that movie's good.
I love that movie.
I rewatched the third one and I wasn't quite as into it as I was the first.
For Paradox, I like that it's a pulpy science fiction movie, but it's not good by any stretch of the imagination. But there's something about it being like one of those like old sci-fi pulp magazine stories where it's like, there's something I appreciate about that kind of cheesy sci-fi. Rambo came out this year, the really bloody, gory fourth Rambo movie. Let's see. Anything else exciting? Jumper.
I never saw that one.
Which point? Witless Protection, starring Larry the Cable Guy.
Larry the Cable Guy.
Yeah, 10,000 BC. Roland Emmerich doing his thing.
I have seen that, and that's how you would expect.
Yeah, the bank.
I saw it to laugh at it.
Yeah, The Bank Job, Jason Statham classic.
Statham.
Yeah.
Statham.
Horton Hears a Who. I remember that. I forgot that existed. I didn't think that was that old of a movie.
Oh yeah, Danny DeVito.
Yeah, the Funny Games remake.
Which one?
Funny Games.
That one.
Okay. Drillbit Taylor.
Is that David Spade?
No, that's Owen Wilson.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I just kind of combined Joe Dirt with that. I love Owen Wilson because he's not really funny. But like they put him in funny things, and you're like, it's not really funny. Like Wedding Crashers, Vince Vaughn's really funny, and Owen Wilson has all these jokes, and you're like, he's not really funny.
Yeah.
He can be funny, like have a funny character, but he's not necessarily a funny guy.
Yeah.
Life Aquatic, you're like,
Harold and Kumar Escape from Guantanamo Bay.
I want to see the first one. I just put it on my list. It's on Netflix now.
Speed Racer.
Oh yeah, I did see that recently. It was good stuff.
Yeah, Speed Racer. I love Speed.
As of Monday, I've now seen every Wachowski movie because I saw Bound. They don't have too many, so it's pretty easy to
Sure.
get them.
It's easy, kind of.
Yeah, and
it's easy.
Bound was good.
You don't mess with the Zohan. Hey, The Happening came out this year.
Ooh, my favorite movie.
It came out the same
My favorite Mark Wahlberg movie.
It came out the same day as The Incredible Hulk.
Does your dad like The Happening because it's got Mark Wahlberg in it?
I don't think he's ever seen it.
I guess he just likes the action, Mark Wahlberg. He doesn't want to see Mark Wahlberg as an oil driller or whatever.
No, he did like that movie. He did like the whatever that one was called. Yeah,
that something Horizon
Water
or something.
Horizon, yeah. Get Smart came out this year. The Love Guru, Wanted, another comic book movie.
Oh yeah,
that is absolutely nothing like the comic book that it is based on, which is starring James McAvoy and Morgan Freeman and Angelina Jolie.
I think The Happening's on Amazon, so you can get your dad to watch it.
There's Hancock.
See if it's the movies or if it's Mark Wahlberg that he likes.
Yeah,
I think the big hit's on there too, which was not the movie I remembered it being. It was pretty shitty.
They also both like Daddy's Home, so it's
it's Mark Wahlberg. Like, be a douchebag. I can do that. Yeah.
And Will Ferrell is gonna make you mad all the time. That seems fair. I like that.
yeah. I can be mad. Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Hellboy 2, The Golden Army.
Oh, that was good. That was not as good as the first one, but it's good.
No, the first one is just so. The second one has the advantage where it's still a Guillermo del Toro movie, and he just uses an aesthetic that works for Hellboy so well.
Yeah.
So like the movie is sort of weak in a lot of things, but it still looks so fucking cool.
It's well intentioned, so that kind of like the sequel that they did the Zorro like way later. Yeah. It's not the best movie, but its heart's in the right place, so it makes it good.
Guillermo del Toro he's never trying to make a movie other than the movie that he wants to make. So
yeah,
for better or for worse, like he's earnest in every movie that he does, which I appreciate.
I don't love all of his stuff, but I mean. They're never terrible or whatever.
Let's see.
He knows what he's doing. Huh?
Meet Dave, the Eddie Murphy movie that sucks ass. I think that's the one where he's got like aliens that control him. Like tiny Eddie Murphy aliens that control a giant Eddie Murphy.
What do we need? We need more Eddie Murphys.
The thing that I know most about that movie is that it's written by Bill Corbett, who is a Mystery Science Theater 3000 guy. He was. I think he's. Which one was he? Servo or Crow? He's one of the robots. Mamma Mia, Space Chimps.
I'm very excited for Coming to America 2.
Yeah,
Coming to America because the first one's phenomenal.
It just came out today as we're recording this on 4K.
Oh, okay. I saw that it was coming.
Step Brothers came out.
That's good. I avoided that because I figured it was shitty because it was Will Ferrell. I love Will Ferrell, but a lot of his movies tend to suck. And since I play the drums, a lot of people will be like, "Don't touch my drum set" or whatever. Like, would say that to me, and I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "You haven't seen Step Brothers?" My friend let me borrow it, and I was like, "This movie's actually really funny."
Yeah. Him and John C.
Drum set.
Even in the bad movies, him and John C. Reilly together are fun together.
Will Ferrell's always funny in the bad movies. Just the movie is probably not good.
Yeah, it's like because like I've seen some really bad movies, but like with Will Ferrell, but like especially the ones like the Sherlock Holmes one where he was with Sherlock Holmes with John C. Reilly and stuff.
Yeah,
like it's a bad movie, but like them together is still really fun. Like I still got something out of it. Like
the
X-Files, I Want to Believe. We already mentioned that. Oh, the Midnight Meat Train.
I tried to watch that a little bit ago. It was like cool, but God, the death scenes were so overdone. Just like heads cutting off, and you see the eyeball. God, it was just like it didn't fit the rest of the movie.
It's got Quentin Rampage Jackson in it.
That's before we knew that Bradley Cooper was going to take over Hollywood.
Yeah,
he was just that guy from Wedding Crashers,
and then he becomes the Meat Train guy.
I went back and watched. Well, I watched some of Alias until it got really shitty, but I had no idea Bradley Cooper was from that. And I was like, Bradley Cooper's in the show.
The Mummy, the Tomb of the Dragon Emperor came out this year.
Yeah,
Pineapple Express.
Never saw that one.
Tropic Thunder. There we go. Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
Hamlet 2, I saw that. Little Mermaid, Ariel's Beginning. Bangkok Dangerous, another Nick Cage classic.
Yep. I think every movie that Nick Cage is in is a classic.
Yeah.
Just they could just be the Nick Cage classic collection.
Yeah.
Just if he's in. I did see Pay the Ghost.
Yeah.
That was that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
There's a part when he's dressed up as a cowboy, but he's not wearing his cowboy hat.
Yeah.
And they kind of mention it. He's like, I couldn't find the hat. And just like, Nick Cage is like, that hat is going to completely fuck my hair. So I'm not wearing a hat. Okay.
Yeah.
He's like, I put a lot of money into this hair. I do not want to cover it up.
Yeah.
Like, this movie is paying for this hair.
Also, his new movie came out today on digital with I forget. It's like what is it called? It's
the Jujitsu.
There you go, Jujitsu. Yeah, that came out today.
Yeah.
Battle in Seattle came out in 2008. Remember that, where it was based on the WTO riots in Seattle?
Yeah, I remember like the SWAT guy punches a pregnant girl in the stomach so her baby shoots out. I'm like, yeah, because that happened. Charlize Theron's boyfriend at the time directed that one.
Yeah, Beverly Hills Chihuahua.
Oh God. Remember that movie? Remember that movie that came out a few years ago that should have come out like 20 years ago with Kevin Spacey, where he becomes a cat?
Yes. Yes.
I just thought of that.
Yeah.
It's so funny to see Kevin Spacey in feel good movies now.
Yeah.
Because we all know how he likes to feel good, but against your will is how he's gonna feel good.
Flash of Genius came out this year, which is a really good movie.
Yeah, I want to see it.
About the guy that invented the automatic windshield wiper.
Yeah.
I got screwed over. It's a lot like Tucker in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I told my friend that I watched Tucker, and he's like, "Oh man, I'm glad to know that I'm not the only person to watch that movie this summer." There's two of us to watch Tucker.
Max Payne, a video
game one, yeah.
Mark Wahlberg video game movie.
Oh, Marky Mark, okay.
Marky Mark getting a lot of work this year. W, the Oliver Stone George W. Bush movie starring Josh Brolin. Oh
yeah, that's on there right now.
Changeling, the Clint Eastwood Angelina Jolie movie.
Oh, that movie's fucking killer. It's pretty dark. It's good stuff.
Saw 5.
Saw 5.
Yeah. Zack and Miri make a porno.
Yes. Kevin Smith's one of his last attempts to make a movie.
It was the last movie not related to his typical stuff, like that is actually like good, because like anytime he like deviates from his Clerks and Dog, just Jay and Silent Bob stuff. Like I'm trying to think, because the last couple of ones he had like
Tusk,
which is bad, and the other one like Red Scare or whatever the hell it was called, that was terrible too.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Repo, the Genetic Opera came out. That was actually pretty good.
I've just seen that cover.
Yeah. Slumdog Millionaire, Quantum of Solace, Bolt, Twilight. The first Twilight movie came out this year.
The beginning of the end.
Yeah.
Twilight started and all of our lives are forever changed.
Australia.
I remember guys complaining. They're like, "Oh, my girlfriend maybe go see Twilight." And like, there's a lot worse movies she could drag you to, right? Like, at least you get vampires and werewolves and shit.
Yeah. Australia came out, which is Nicole Kidman and Hugh Jackman.
That movie's so fucking stupid.
Baz
Luhrmann should just die.
Definitely where like everyone's like Hugh Jackman is always excited to look and see what Hugh Jackman's next movie is going to be.
Oh yeah,
because everyone loves his Wolverine, and it's like, well, what's he going to do next? And it's like, Australia, here we go. Oh,
because he's pretty selective. He doesn't always have a movie coming out either.
He never has a movie coming out.
So when he does one, it's like,
Transporter 3.
I saw the first two. First one's fine. Second one's pretty.
Yeah, first one. I really like the first one. It's a really good, effective action movie, and then the rest it just gets worse and worse until.
Yeah.
Let's see. Frost Nixon, Punisher, Warzone, baby.
Frost Nixon's good because I didn't know that story already. Yeah. Wait. Yeah. I saw it.
Yeah.
I was like, am I thinking of that or Nixon Elvis? Oh wait, I saw both. So.
I will defend Punisher, Warzone nonstop. That movie fucking rules.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen it. I want to, based off your recommendation.
I don't think you'll like it, but I
probably not. If you're talking about a movie, it's just good to assume I'm not going to like it.
Yeah,
that's just how you go into it.
The Day the Earth Stood Still, the Keanu Reeves remake of that.
Yes.
Oh, fucking Delgo, baby! Just an absolute miserable animated film. Starring starring Freddie Prinze Jr.
Oh, Freddie Prinze.
Mhm.
I saw a thing where he was talking shit about Heath Ledger, and you're like, or not Heath Ledger, but Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, does Kiefer Sutherland suck? And I was like, well, consider the source. I don't know. Sometimes you're not sure who to trust.
Freddie Prinze Jr. was a writer for the WWE for a long time.
I trust Kiefer.
Gran Torino came out this year.
I never liked that movie. People love that movie, but
yeah, I took my that's a rare movie that I took my mom to go see because she wanted. Let's see, The Wrestler, which I like. 7 Pounds, another rare movie that I took my mom to go see.
You and your mom were just burning up the box office this year.
Yeah, at least Gran Torino was good. 7 Pounds was the start of our we're gonna go to a movie every Christmas. And we saw this, and it was like, that movie fucking sucks ass.
Yep.
Never saw another movie on Christmas Day after that. It's Will Smith is meeting up with people to so when he dies, he can donate his organs and stuff to them.
Oh yeah.
And then he ends up killing himself at the end with a jellyfish, so none of his organs get damaged.
Yeah.
But he falls in love with Rosario Dawson during this whole thing. So and she's getting his eyes, I think, or something. I can't remember the exact.
Yeah.
But it's just so funny because it is a Chekhov's gun situation where they show you he's got like this pet jellyfish, and there is absolutely zero way for you to suspect that he's going to kill himself with his jellyfish by the end of this movie.
Yeah.
And then he does. Let's see. Anything else of note? Curious Case of Benjamin Button, Marley and Me, The Spirit.
Yeah, I like The Spirit actually.
Yeah, Frank Miller directed and screenplay, like a very rare solo Frank Miller.
Yeah.
Valkyrie.
That's fucking good.
Yeah, and that's basically the Revolutionary Road. Sam Mendes.
That movie sucks.
Yeah. And Defiance with Daniel Craig.
I'm off Edward Zwick. That guy just can't help himself. Except for the second Reacher movie's fine, but that's definitely his best movie.
Yeah. What was American Assassin? He wrote that.
Did he?
Yeah.
He did Last Samurai and Legends of the Fall and
Blood Diamond,
which I never did see. I've seen all the other ones. When I saw he was doing the new Reacher, I was like, shit. And I was like, well, maybe Tom Cruise will keep him in line. Yeah, he's like, all right, you're just going to call the shots, and I'm going to direct everything.
Yeah, so. Well,
yes.
2008 was a good year for movies, but we need to wrap this up.
yeah. I got to pee real bad now.
Yeah, it's an hour and a half.
I'm about to mute you.
Yeah. But yeah, so, Dark Knight, we both love it. Do you like it more than Batman Begins?
No, it's my least favorite of the three. I mean, it's so funny when people say like you don't like it. I'm like, no, it's just if I had to rank them, it's the bottom of the list.
I definitely like Batman Begins more than this one now. But yeah, so
for me, it's Rises, Begins. This one.
Well, thanks for ruining the next episode where we get the final rankings.
I think I said it many times before.
All right. Well, we'll talk about Dark Knight Rises when we get around to it next time when we record one of these. Thank you all for joining us. And you know what? Just be safe. Be safe out there. It sucks. It still sucks out there. Just be safe. Wear a mask.
Don't be stupid.
Don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. All right. Thanks.